Welcome to Hardly Initiated. It is your host, Tyshawn Jackson, here with another episode of my co-host, Ryan Ketchens.
I'm not sure if I didn't get the memo or what, man, but I see the collar shirts popping. The gentleman is handsome and successful. We about to go crazy.
Yes. It's that kind of show. If y'all tuned in for our last live episode, you know we brought the single ladies on here. So here is the spinoff. Here is part 2. We bring in the single fellas, the bachelors, the guys, my people in here. So ladies and fellas, it's going to be a great episode. Let's start here with this brother here to the left.
Yes,
this
sir.
brother here is phenomenal, man. This brother here has been coaching so many people, thousands of brothers and sisters, to financial success and helping people get their bank account close to his bank account. And that's a feat. If you can get your bank account like this brother's bank account.
Right. It's going to take a lot of work, though. Take a lot of work.
We in here rocking with Marvin Mitchell. Welcome to Hardly Initiated.
Hey, man, happy to be here, bro. It's about to go down, man. I feel it.
Yes.
We already know.
Yes, man.
Good stuff today, man.
Excited to have you here. You came in the past a while ago.
Yeah,
And I'm sure a lot has changed, so we're going to kind of get into it
absolutely.
a little bit later. And then to
We
the
didn't
right
speak.
here.
We didn't speak about this. We almost got you into a little trouble last time.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, I mean, last time I did a show with y'all, man, I said in the show it's recorded. I said, bro, I'm gonna end up single at the end of this show, and I did. You know what I'm saying? So y'all clear some paths for me, man.
Listen, ladies, we did it for you.
I want to thank y'all.
Help you get rid of something a little toxic.
A little toxic for sure.
So, listen, the next brother here, I'm super excited about. Both of y'all, by the way. This is y'all second appearance here on Hardly Initiated, in Hardly Initiated's new form. And, man, this here is a close friend of mine, a close brother of mine, a guy that I've been trying to persuade. And I'm talking about twist nipples to get on the show here on Hardly Initiated. But we finally got this brother. I mean, where do I go with this man? Fashion enthusiast, men's coach. I mean, the title, the list of things you've been doing is so impressive. Blessed to have Mr. Jay Hines on the platform. Welcome to Hardly Initiated, my brother.
Brother, I appreciate it, man. It's been a while. You know, we miss you at the gym at Rich and Fit, but I see y'all boys locked in, and I'm super proud of what you guys have been able to do this past couple months, man. You've really been able to put a foothold in this space, man, and really I love the way you guys have rebranded, the direction you guys have taken, and you guys are really impacting a lot of lives in a positive way, man. A lot of people are watching you, a lot of people are growing from you guys' message, and I think the space to allow for healthy, right, conversations, healthy couples is something that's needed, because we see a lot of the opposite on the internet. So I just want to give you guys your flowers, right? Because it's a lot easier to push that other message. There's a lot of course, income in that, but I think what you guys are doing is really having some impact. So, shout out to you guys.
Jay, that means a lot because so if y'all don't know, Jay is actually part of one of our lost episodes. We got about 60 episodes that we just had to lose. That was when Tyshawn and I were, I would say, very different gentlemen. We've grown a lot since, but I will say this about you, Jay. Mm-hmm. You were one of the very few young brothers, because you're 29 now, right?
Yeah.
Young brothers who were like, hey, guys, I love what y'all are trying to do, but I think it's a much more respectful way to go about it. You've been very consistent since the first time we had you on the show.
Appreciate that, man.
We have since made the change and the adjustment. Now we got you back.
My man, well, I'm glad to be here, man. Let's get into it.
That's a fact, man. That's a fact. So, the theme here, when we had our last conversation, was when we brought some ladies. Big shout out to Donnie Wiggins and Brandy Harvey. They did an excellent job really putting the ladies on game from a woman's perspective on just how to, really operate in this space, dating. Yeah. And what better perspective to get from single men out here who are actually having their own experiences, right? But I want to start here because we got a lot of guys actually that tune into the platform as well. Shout out to the fellas in the chat. But actually, before we get into it, Ryan, getting people we got some announcements we need to run through first before we get into the show.
I'm going to hit this really quickly. Yo, shout out to the Facebook audience, guys. We're giving you 30 minutes with the Hardly Initiated fam. Don't forget, at the end of that 30 minutes, as a matter of fact, why not now? Come on over to YouTube, join the chat, because we're about to be rocking tonight. Listen, all super chats are highly encouraged. Every single one of them will pop up and be highlighted on the screen, but anything over $10 will be specifically highlighted by myself or Tyshawn, my main man. And the last thing, guys, all super chats go to the studio sound treatment. These guests already sound wonderful, but it's a little bit more crispness that we're trying to hit. So all of those donations count. And guys, hit the like button right now. Take time, go ahead and exit out the chat, hit the like button. As many likes as we get within that first 30 minutes, that's the more people that YouTube will push the content out to. And the very last thing, I'm about to drop this into the chat. We worked very, very hard. We want to get these out to you if you already registered for it, but we got the top 10 dating and connection questions that were authored personally by myself and Tyshawn. So please fill out the form to go ahead and cop that ASAP.
Yes. Y'all got to know how to ask them questions. Y'all got to know how to talk to these brothers and my brothers. You got to know how to talk to these ladies on these dates. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about now. You know, one thing I see in common, fellas, that the ladies are talking about is that they are struggling with knowing, like, what phase a man is in his life. Like, they're struggling to know when a man is in his phase of, quote unquote, settling down, right? And that could be an issue because they're running into a guy that's probably in his player phase, in his warrior phase. He's hunting, he's got a spear, he's just trying to put some deer heads on a wall, but he's not necessarily looking to actually go ahead and build that family and legacy, which causes for an issue with friction, difference in alignment and what they want. So let's start here, because just with you guys, what does even settling down, what does that even mean to you guys when you hear that term?
Okay, well, the first thing, right, I think an amazing book that every woman needs to read. Amazing book, and it talks about this very thing. It's called The Amazing Development of Men, From Knight to Prince to King. And I want to say it's by Alison Armstrong. And it basically talks about the development of men and understanding what phase they're in, and also being able to disconnect the phase they're in from them. And what I mean by that is, you know, a lot of women, if a man is not necessarily in the space where he's ready to progress to marriage, they think it's because of them. And they'll end up imploding the relationship because they're taking it personal, not understanding that it has less to do with them, and just understanding that as men, we like to do things we can win at. So if we don't feel like we can win at that next phase of the relationship, we're not going to progress into that next phase of the relationship. And it's better to support the man to getting there versus saying, well, what's wrong with me? What can I, and it has nothing to do with you. But to circle back to that, I think it just means getting in the mindset where you're looking to see a future with the woman that you're with, right? Now, of course, timelines may vary, and that's where, you know, another conversation can be had. But I think a man who's ready to settle down is now seeing the future with that woman, and is really, you know, progressing from I to we, which even has been a hard thing for me, right? Because although, you know, I'm unmarried, right, I am, you know, seriously dating, and that's been a transition even for myself, is understanding that, hey, this is not I'm gonna move here, but hey, how can we move here?
Yeah.
You know, what can we do? How are we going to progress, you know, towards this destination together? And I think that's been the biggest shift, and that's kind of a hallmark, I think, for men that are getting into that phase to where, like, hey, they're ready to settle down.
I would agree with that, man. Me too. Me and you in a similar phase in that transition from, you know, that I would even call it a very selfish single stage, which I don't think there's anything wrong with being selfish, you know, when you're single, especially if you're selfishly investing in self, you know, but it is a different mindset when now you bring a woman now that you have to steward over into your life, and you really now have to consider more than yourself in your decision making. That's a way different mindset as a man that you got to adopt. And, you know, obviously that even stretches when you start introducing family, you know, children, her family, and all these different things that has to go into the decision making of being a, you know, a good man, if you will. But I'm interested, what's your thoughts on settling down as well, Marvin?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if most men are ever really truly ready to settle down on their own, right? I think I don't think a man goes around for the most part saying, okay, I'm going to settle down, which means I'm going to seriously date somebody, right? But what happens is, I think in the process of that, a man finds a woman that makes him feel different. There's something different about her. I can't explain what it is, but I want to start talking. Then you notice you start wanting to talk to that person more than you're talking to anybody else. Yeah. And it's just, for us, it's just a natural progression, right? It's not like, all right, I'm ready. I'm going to find me somebody. It's like, no, this person is different. I'm not talking to anybody else. Then you notice you keep talking to her. Then you notice she coming around. And then you notice that, man, she don't make me feel pressured. She don't make me feel like I have to make this decision. It's not like the first couple of dates. She's like, so who are we? What are we? You know what I'm saying? It's like she lets me do my thing. But now it's like I don't want to do anything else. Like I want to be around this person more. You know what I'm saying? Then if you start bringing her around the family, when you start that, I think that's the sign of commitment, right?
Yeah.
Right there. That's the sign of commitment. We may have not verbally said, okay, we're together, but it's a commitment. And I feel like now in order to break that commitment, something has had to happen in the course of conflict or communication where you felt the vibes didn't go like you thought that they would go for the man to now back off, because most men, once they're in, they're actually in. Mm-hmm. But a lot of women try to rush that in process, which actually hurts the relationship before it has a chance to grow and blossom.
What does that look like, by the way? Like rushing the process. What does that look like?
It's like the man is, we are the aggressors to a certain point. We're the pursuers. Like we're built for that. Like we are the lion, right?
Right.
We are the hunters. That's who we are. But then it transitions when a woman is trying to force you to hunt something that you don't know if you don't know if you want yet. Like, I don't even know if I want it yet. You're trying to force me to hunt. Like, okay, what are we? Okay, so are we doing this? Wait, so why didn't you call me? I called you at this time. Why didn't you answer the phone? Like when that type of communication starts to happen, then it's a process. Then I feel like now you're rushing. We're rushing the process. And now I'm going to naturally back off. Not even if I want to, my subconscious mind is going to trigger me and say, okay, it's time to back off, because there's so much pressure at this early stage of the game. I'm immediately thinking that the pressure is not going to decrease. That pressure is going to continue to increase.
Yeah.
I got to know at that point, I got to have that proactive conversation with you where I'm like, you know what? This relationship, something different about this. I want to be committed. I want to be exclusive. Like, let me do it. Don't try to force me to do it on your timing.
I get that.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No. I 100% get that. Like some of the best relationships, they just feel easy.
Right.
You know, they just kind of flow in a way where, you know, you guys can just kind of feel that connection and that chemistry grow.
Right.
Almost at the same pace.
Yeah.
Even, you know, that kind of that frictionless growth, if you will. But I think a lot of that too has to do with, you know, kind of intention and kind of how you approach it.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting you say that, because I said this too. I think a lot of guys are not necessarily, I don't think it's a large group of guys who are dating with the intent to marry. Because when I hear a lot of guys who got married, when they tell me their story, they're like, yeah, man, she was amazing. I dated her. You know, we had a good vibe. We went on a couple good dates, and, you know, next thing I know, blase, blase, blah, I ended up at the altar. It wasn't, I knew before I even stepped into the marketplace that I knew I wanted to find my wife, and it, you know, kind of went on in this way. So I think it is, you know, a tactful approach that, you know, kind of ladies have to take, where they're not necessarily putting the pressure on men, but I think they still got to be wise.
Absolutely.
About knowing not to stay idle for too long in an intentionless relationship. So let me ask y'all this. Let's put the ladies on game on this one. I want to know, what could a woman look at to determine what phase of a life a man is in? Like, how does she see if he's in a place where he's ready to settle down? What signs should she be able to see in him for her to kind of be able to detect that?
On my end, is communication, frequency, right? So if I'm reaching out to a person more than they reaching out to me, that's showing them a level of seriousness. If I'm responding back a little bit quicker, that's a level of seriousness. If I'm disappearing for like 2 or 3 days and going ghost, you probably ain't the one. Now, sometimes things can come up in life where I might have to disappear for 2 or 3 days, but if so, a man that's really serious is going to communicate that up front. Look, I'm dealing with this project. I got this big pressure on my job. I might not be around as much for the next 2 or 3 days. It has nothing to do with you. I promise you. They would have proactively communicated that. But if you feel that you, as a woman, that you are forcing a person who had tendencies to talk to you all the time at first, then all of a sudden that slows down without a proper expectation, then you got to know there's something up. he's either something else has caught that person's eye, there's something that's unresolved and conflicts, or that person just ain't interested.
That's a good one.
I like that.
That's
I like
a good
that.
one.
Yeah.
I would throw one in too for the ladies. I would say, look for a big one. Look for his vulnerability in conversation with you.
Ooh, that's good.
Because one thing a man is not gonna do is be openly vulnerable with a whole lot of women. Like it's a very special woman he starts giving these levels of access to with the type of information she's gonna get in his life.
Yeah.
So when you start seeing a man starting to really open up about real things going on in his personal life, maybe things that may have happened in his past, maybe things that's going on right now, you starting to see levels of vulnerability in his life. Trust me, y'all are advancing in that relationship.
That's good.
Because I really like me personally, that was one of the hardest things for me in general when I was, looking to transition into having more serious relationships. The reality of it is you got to have more serious conversations. And like that's some of the realest thing as men that we can do is really start kind of showing these scars to the women in whatever shape or form that may come in. And that's something that can't be overlooked because it's very difficult to gauge where you are in a relationship if everything is just surface level. Very, very different. So really look for that depth in conversation and that vulnerability.
That would apply on both ends of the spectrum too, because also a man that is open, or not open, but assertive about standards and boundaries. He's going to be open to communicating exactly what he wants, what he wants to see, and the issues that he addresses with you. He's going to be willing to follow up on those to see if there's some level of advancement as well. Because I do think sometimes when a man is expressing boundaries and holding a woman accountable to things, I think sometimes women can be easily offended by it rather than understand that that's a man that actually cares. Because this is the thing, men, we could date women, they could dress like we don't want them to dress. They could talk a little bit like we not really fond of. And if sex is involved, we can let all that slide just to get to the sex. But when a man expresses himself genuinely and puts those boundaries in place, I think that is a really good sign that he's going to be serious about you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think two things come to mind. The first is his level of integration with you. So how willing is he to integrate you into his lifestyle? To his vision, to his day-to-day. So for instance, if he's willing to show, to Ty's point, that vulnerability and to allow you to say, hey, look, I'm doing this with the business. I would love if you could help with this. Or, hey, how can we build together with this? There's a level of integration there where that's kind of showing that, hey, I can see this going long-term with this particular person. I think the second thing is his level of patience with you, right? I think truly a man that can see himself long term with a woman is willing to be a little bit more patient. So he probably has a little bit more grace. Now, it doesn't mean that he's not setting standards, he's not setting boundaries, he's not communicating, but I do think there's a little bit more patience, and even the way that he's communicating with that woman, his tone and the way that he's communicating with the woman, there's just a little bit more probably grace in that because he's looking to protect that situation versus implode the situation. Yeah. So to me, I think those are like two really big ones, I would say.
No, those are good.
Those are.
Because a woman that just has low buy-in or you have low buy-in in her life, you probably are more likely to even be a little bit more reactive in that situation. You probably do a little bit more, way less to save the relationship if things were to go down. Yeah. So and a woman, and a woman you really want to keep around. You really want to protect her in different ways. So willing to bite your tongue in certain situations. Willing to make sure that you communicate a certain way, especially with this kind of woman that you probably wouldn't have thought as carefully with your words with another woman.
Right.
So that's another very good one. I notice myself, any woman that gets really close to me that becomes a woman that is pretty much the primary woman that I'm dating in my life, she's typically the person I share my wins with. Yeah. Like if things are typically happening in real time, she's gonna be the first one that I'm typically calling and be like, "Yo, guess what took? Yeah, this went down." Like, And see, that's why I'm telling you, that's why that communication piece is so important. So if you're in a spectrum or in a relationship with a guy, and my brothers too, because sometimes brothers will be dating these women and not even know where they, like, not even aware enough. We're not even self-aware enough sometimes to know where we are with certain women. We just kind of going through the motions in a lot of different ways. So that's even a way for you to personally gauge. These things are not just for the ladies, also for you to personally gauge. If you just may not want to call her or share anything with her, that's you, whether consciously or subconsciously, knowing that she ain't the one, bro.
That's good, man. That's what that frequency of communication, and he said it so much better, like the level of integration. And that's perfectly said.
Yeah.
Because even when that made me sit back and reflect. It's like, when I'm really into somebody, that's true. I'm calling them not just about my wins, but about my losses and just about common stuff that ain't even that serious. Man, this is what's happening. This is what's going on with me today. But when I stop wanting to share those things, those wins, those losses in a conversation, it's like, I almost feel like it's a task that let me call this person and check in.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's when it's a problem.
Yeah.
That's the start of the end.
Let me ask you guys, because we got a bunch of ladies and we got the guys watching as well, and we do this to the ladies a lot because they want to know you guys' dating profile. So if you could just give me your age, what else we need? Age and your height and your bank account. I'm joking. No, but age, but in all seriousness, your age and your height.
So the height matters, huh?
It does, because listen, this is the thing.
Hey, I gotta hear that. I gotta hear
the chat. You should see the chat.
This is very important because listen, the ladies genuinely want to know because we're having a dating conversation.
Right.
So you guys, handsome, successful gentlemen. So they want to know age and height, and then they want to know why you specifically haven't settled down yet.
Ooh, that's good. So I'm 39. Just turned 39. 2 days ago.
Happy birthday.
Happy belated.
Appreciate it. Virgo season. I'm 5'10". That's my height.
They said and shoe size.
Women going crazy.
They going nuts, right?
Go ahead.
Size 12. But no. So I actually do want to be married.
Okay.
I do want to settle down and be in a committed relationship. I do have a son. I do have a bonus daughter, so I have 2 children, and I wouldn't mind having one more. For me, I just haven't settled down because the last relationship didn't work. Right, last relationship didn't work. We ended 10 months, so it's been a while. It's been about 10 months ago. Seriously ended, and I actually took a long break from dating.
Yeah.
I went through a stage where I was like, I've never been like at this stage where I haven't been with somebody. You know what I mean? And my natural reaction was to automatically want to go be with somebody else. You know what I mean? Because that's what I was used to. And I had a lot of good people in my life that said, do you feel comfortable being alone? Do you feel comfortable traveling on your own? Do you feel comfortable going to eat on your own? And I'm just like, probably not, because when I do travel, like I would want to go with somebody else. So I started putting myself through a phase where I was like, I'm not going to date nobody. Let me try. And I took some trips alone. I did those in probably like 5 or 6 months because I really wanted to see what it would look like if I built a relationship with myself so I could be a better version of myself. So that's what I was going through. So it's really only been about 2 to 3 months that I've been back on the dating scene.
Welcome back.
Yeah, you got to detox after that.
Yeah.
After you get that breakup, got to go ahead and do that emotional, mental detox so you can hop back in fresh. You ain't taking nothing else into that next relationship.
Make
you
sure
all
it's all
clean
over.
and pure.
You got to tell us what the chat's saying, bro.
So look, we got some comments. Somebody said foot long in here. They put a foot long exclamation. The lady's going crazy. Jay, what you got? What you got for us?
Yeah, man. So 29. 6'4". And I think for me, right, again, although I'm unmarried, I am seriously dating at the moment. And I think the biggest thing for me, what's keeping me from that next phase of truly settling down in the marriage sense, is really just getting to the space of accomplishing a few more things, I think, selfishly for me to really feel confident to get to the next level. So like for me, you know, there's a certain car I want to get next, right? It's a coupe. It's not an SUV. It's definitely not family friendly, right? You know, there's my new spot in Miami that I'm looking to close on soon. That, you know, it is not necessarily the most family friendly place, but it's something for me I want to do. You know, there's a few more things even with my mom, like wanting to retire her. That again, these are things that, you know, as a man, I feel, you know, compelled to be able to do. To really be able to fully step into that next phase of marriage, because I understand, I'm very aware that once you get to those phases, there's certain things that you can no longer do, and there's certain things that you have to prioritize, right? There's certain purchases you have to prioritize because, you know, there's more of a long-term mindset that's going into it. You know, now you're looking at, you know, kids, you're looking at school districts, you're looking at, hey, what's a good area to raise them? Right, we don't necessarily want to raise them in the high rise, you know, the penthouse. That's not as family friendly. We need, you know, we need a backyard. You know, like these are things that, you know, are very important, and I think that's probably the biggest reason for me.
I think we had when we had Dr. Tart on here, he said one thing that was he's seen in men for sure don't want to get married until they get their money to whatever place they feel it needs to be personally. That's typically every man's one milestone of like, I want my money to be here, and I'm not getting married till it gets here.
And not just here, but rich.
And I mean, and most guys will never get rich though, so that's just rather the situation.
Well,
but at the end of the day, I mean, the guys here operate at different levels, so the milestones for us are going to be different. But I want to ask this because we've been challenged on that because we have a very similar mindset, and we've been challenged on that on countless occasions. Because the biggest challenge is, if you get you a woman and you tie it up, what's going to happen is you're going to get to whatever your goal is much faster. Do you feel that to be true?
Yeah. So again and again, you know, it's really interesting because the book I mentioned earlier, right, The Amazing Development from Knight to Prince to King, actually, it talks about this, but I think it depends on the temperament of the man. And it actually, in the book, it talks about, you know, when a guy's in what she considers the prince phase, there's different types of princes. Right. And she talks about, you know, one prince is the type to where he's like, he can't ascend to his king phase or to his next woman until he feels he needs to get to the kingdom by himself. Then you have other men where it's like he likes, you know, being able to go through that process, you know, with someone. Right. And kind of go a little bit early. But I really think it boils down to the temperament of the man. Right. Like I agree that being in a relationship as a man definitely is going to propel you. And I think it definitely focuses you as long as you have the right woman who's willing to integrate herself into your lifestyle, right? And also is able to understand, you know, what it takes, right? Because, you know, there's an old adage, with an ambitious man comes absence. So not neglect, because that's very different, right? I'm not saying neglect, that's totally different, but there is a certain level of absence. And obviously it takes a woman to understand that. But I think at the end of the day, when it comes to marriage, because that's another level of commitment versus just being in a relationship, to your point, there is a level that a man feels he needs to be. And that varies on every man. Like some men have a different level in their head than other men, right? So that's why, you know, results may vary. So you might see some men where you're like, well, he only got this, he's ready to marry. Well, to him, you know, that was the place he needed to be. Right. You know, and especially if you start getting into men who are a little bit more, you know, masculine leaning versus feminine leaning, there's variations as well, right? Because you have a man who's a little bit more feminine leaning, you know, maybe he's, you know, in a situation where he's used to women taking care of him. He may actually be fine with not even having any of those things and taking more of a non-traditional role in that relationship. A supportive role.
Well, see, this is hardly initiated. Our women, they want men. Yeah. That's what they want.
That's facts.
Yeah.
That's facts.
But I mean, so it even depends on that, right? So I think there's a lot of different variables, but at the end of the day, I would say most men do have to feel that till they can get to that next level of commitment, which, I mean, ultimately is marriage.
Yeah. Yo, let me tell y'all, first of all, we 30 minutes in right now and already got over 607 people up in here.
Yeah.
So I already know what kind of night it's going to be. We might hit 1,000 tonight. So guys, to help us make sure we can grow this thing, just go ahead and get us to 300 likes right now, because that's easy. We have 179. Everybody just pause real quick. Get us to 300 likes. And Facebook family, come on over to YouTube. Help us out too, because we're about to get rid of the Facebook. Come on over to YouTube. so we can go ahead and get this thing popping. Anything else we need to tell them? Ron, before we get to the
I
next
got a
level?
couple super chats and the members that came in. Shout out to Ray Don James and everybody who joined the channel membership over the past few days since we've been off. Shout out to Vanita, VJ. I love VJ. VJ says,
Legendary.
everyone have a pleased week. Remember to hit the like button.
Yes.
And shout out to Kay and Ann who giving a quick shout out to Marvin. Marvin is a sweetie pie.
Wow.
Happy to see you, sir.
That's our moderator right there, man.
Shout out to KN.
Can't shoot her
Giving
shot in the
shooting
chat.
a shot. Listen,
Come on now.
I'm blushing over here. Man.
Listen, K one of our favorites, Marvin. We got to take care of K. She dropping to them DMs now.
That's a fact.
But I'm curious. We going to the call-ins? I got a question.
Oh, no call-ins right now.
So this thing, we got a variety of men, right? Age-wise, we got Jay 29. We got Marvin just turned 39.
Right.
So Marvin, I'm very curious. Now that you 10 years Jay senior, has your specific personal preferences for women changed from that mid-20s to now?
Bro, I think it's changing over the last year.
Wow.
And for me, I've been in very, I feel very deeper relationships. And I was Jay's age. I definitely was in my deeper stages. I was in St. Louis, Missouri, right? I was building my business. I didn't have time to truly date around. So I was really going for a different type of woman at that stage, right? Because I was really serious about marriage and looking for marriage. Not that I'm not now, but I think 2 to 3 years ago when I came to Atlanta is different, right?
It is.
I think the women are different, and it's some beautiful women. Not that it's not beautiful women everywhere, but Atlanta got some beautiful women, but it also has some very superficial type women. So I think even though I'm really, really great at intuition, I do believe I fell into a trap of superficial, beautiful, more than deep, more than deeper than the surface level. You know what I'm saying? And now, after war wounds will change you, right? So So then I realized that I do want that deeper. Now looks are still important. Don't get me wrong, but I think whereas it's not so much she has to look like this, be this complexion, have this hair, like you know what I'm saying, wear not that much makeup, and like all of that's changed to more so now I need a woman that I can grow with. I need a woman who I can travel with. I need a woman who I can be with, who I can feel safe with. See, that's the thing. Like you never hear men talking about feeling safe. That's a woman thing.
That's real.
But men need to feel safe in a relationship. I need to feel safe being able to come to you about the truth, and then you say you want the truth, but then when I give you the truth, you hold it against somebody for months to the point where you don't feel safe coming to that person. I don't want to go to a woman and feel like emasculated. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go to a woman to feel less than. I want a woman who's going to stroke my ego just enough. You know what I'm saying? Because look, ain't nothing wrong with that. Like I want somebody to be my cheerleader, to be supportive of me the same way I want to be supportive of them. I want a woman who I can read with, discuss books with, right? I want a woman I can say, hey, let's talk about the 5 love languages. What's your love language? This is my love language. Hey, what's your in numerology? What's your life path? Let's take this like where we can actually have these deeper conversations far beyond the surface, and I'm not even thinking about sex at that time. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of woman that I'm looking for. So when I say that I'm still developing who I am, even at the age of 39, and he's 10 years younger. Let me say he's 10 years younger than me. But on a maturity level, Jay is, man, I forgot he was 29 because, I feel like I'm talking to a 39-year-old man when I'm talking to Jay.
I agree with that.
Maturity level. But yeah, man, that's so it's changing, man. It's definitely changing in real time.
And Jay, what's your feedback on what Marvin said? Are you kind of in the same place with the type of woman you're looking for, or is it a bit different?
Yeah, even, with my situation now, I think it's changed a lot from when I was 19.
right.
To now. I think the things that I used to look for have changed dramatically. Now I'm looking for things like peace.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I'm looking for things like, is that woman able to be accountable with her emotions and understand how she can control the temperature of the room with her emotions? right? Because women are like thermostats, right? If a woman's angry, you feel it in the whole house.
Yeah.
The same way like she's happy. I look for things like, now, does that woman understand placement, right? So if she has an issue, when is she bringing it to you? So for instance, if you guys are out and let's say you're at a party and she, for whatever reason, she has something that she's upset with, does she need to express it at that party, or does she have enough grace to do it in the presence of the home? Like these are things that like, I think now I'm realizing are much, much more important. Right. Because, as cool as to your point, the aesthetics are, a lot of times the aesthetics doesn't always make for the most sustainable relationship. Right. And it's more important to also have that blend of attitude in that woman and in the relationship. And I think for me, that's been a really big thing. That's been something that I think's been huge. And I think me being on the other side and seeing my brothers not have that, seeing how it affected them, seeing how it affected their personal life, their business life, their health, freedom, things of that nature, it just really kind of started to shape my perspective, especially as I age. I'm almost 30 now, which is crazy to say, but it's matured me a lot in my selection of the things that I find important now.
Now, both of you guys are among some very successful men. I know, Jay, you got a mentorship group with hundreds of very successful, mature men like yourself. Marvin, you personally are in masterminds and business affiliations with some of the most successful people I ever met in my life. So is the things that you guys are saying, does this count for most very successful and eligible men? Like what would you guys say that the general man really wants from a woman?
So I'm going to say how successful a man is in business, how much money even that man has, is not parallel to the type of woman that they choose or attract. I think it's two different things, especially it might even be harder for a successful man, because if you're successful, you then begin to realize that you can get more than a general man. Like you can be more choosier than a general man, which makes it even harder to be as committed as a general man. And I say that because there are women out here who they only seek out the successful man, right? And what they define as successful has nothing to do sometimes with their integrity. It has nothing to do with who they are to the core. When they're talking about successful men, they're talking about high value men, AKA how much money does he have?
High earning men.
Right.
How loose is he with his pocket? How much is he going to take care of me if I need to be taken care of? And a lot of times a woman who's especially can talk really well and very charismatic, she won't even go for the general man, but she'll go for the man that she knows has something, and she's smooth with her words, right? She knows exactly what to do, exactly what to say. And even though that man might be successful in business, they may not be as successful with their intuition to be able to notice certain things, certain red flags that'll pop up. They're just happy that they're attracting these kind of women. And that's typically when a downfall happens. I think obviously a general man would definitely want to go for a woman that's not just in it for the money, because if you're a general man, then that type of woman's definitely not, she's going to bring you down, right? Not lift you up. But I think it's tougher for a man that has a level of success.
I want to know this too, because for my ladies that's, out here trying to date and not necessarily having the most success, or probably not even getting out as much as they should, I want them to be able to increase their chances at having success, right? Like, what can a woman do to really stand out from the crowd? Like, what can she do to create separation between her and other women when she's dating men? What are some things that you guys recommend?
So I think the biggest thing is paying attention. It's interesting. You hear, I think, women say a lot of things, to the effect of, man, it's not, a man just buying me a gift. It's when he pays attention. It's the little things. It's when he, remembers, I wanted these type of flowers, or when I wanted, this type of item. Well, I think it boils down the same thing to men, right? I think one of the things Marvin expressed a lot of times is this confusion as, of course, you make more income as a man and you're having to divide and make the decision between whether this woman's a mercenary or a soldier, right? And I think if you find a woman who's willing to actually pay attention and she's willing to anticipate the need before it becomes an issue, that, I mean, 100% is going to put that woman way ahead. So, an example, if I don't know, let's say a woman sees that, and this is a small example, but there's, let's say, a crack, on your computer. And that woman says, I actually just got you a new computer. I saw you had a crack. I saw, it was kind of affecting the way that you did your work. I just wanted to go ahead and give you a new one because I know that that's going to help you. Right. Or she sees that, you're writing, you're always writing notes. Right. And let's say it's in this small, notepad, but she's, you know what, man, I actually wanted to get you a whiteboard. Right. Because I know you're always writing things. You're having all these notepads everywhere. Let me get you a whiteboard so you can actually collect all your thoughts in one space.
Instant separation between other women.
Right. Instant. I think those things mean the most, right? And those type of women I also notice are never the women that are saying, what are you going to do for me? Or, like, what are you bringing to the table? Because the reciprocity as a man, you feel compelled to give it when you have a woman who pays that level of attention, because, there is a level where I think most women are used to being paid attention to, and the barrier of entry for them having to reciprocate that level of behavior tends to be a little low. Yeah. So if you're a woman who is willing to do that, you will be amazed at the level of reciprocity that a man will feel compelled to give you because of that. You won't have to worry about, and I know a lot of women, when they hear that, they're like, but he has to do this, that's the wrong mindset.
Right.
Right. Because as soon as you start thinking what he has, you've lost it. I promise you, a man will naturally do it, especially if you do it in the spirit without expecting anything. Yeah. That's the easiest way to get him to give you everything.
Wow. You know what? Based on what Jay Hines said about paying attention, right? I know he mentioned the whiteboard. He mentioned the crack in the computer. If I had to guess, I would say one of his love languages probably acts of service. I would guess that, right? And the reason why I say that is that I think it's definitely different for every single man, right? Like, to me, my top love language is words of affirmation, right? So for me, I think support would be my top one. Like, if I'm saying, and it'll be different for almost every man, right? So I would want a woman who's calling me and saying, hey, I know you got this going on today. I just want you to know you're going to kill it. You're going to crush it. And can't nobody do what you could do, blah, blah, blah. Just those words, you know what I mean? To know that, dang, this person got my back. You remember that I had this going on. You supporting me, telling me who I am beyond what I can even see sometimes. I think that means a lot but the difference is when if I have a love language of words of affirmation, when you say some things to emasculate or bring down or talk less than to or try to mother or scold or different things like that, you actually deplete my bank account twice. Yeah. Because whatever my love language is, what you go against hurts worse. Right. So for Jay Hines, if it's those services, if it's hey, you thinking about me enough to give me services, and then Jay come home all day and there was some clothes laying around, right? And then she walked past it like 3-4 times. She saw the clothes and she didn't pick it up. To him, it's going to affect him worse because he's thinking about, I know you saw this, right? Right. So you got, like you said, you got to, you laugh like that.
Jay laughing like it happened. Who you done broke up with in the past? Jay ain't fold the clothes up.
You just got to study your person and pay attention and understand the personality traits of that person.
And that's devotion. That's all rooted. That's rooted in like what you said, Jay, paying attention. Yep. And like really being able to understand your partner and understand where you could come in and add value. That's the thing. Like, ladies, if you're really paying attention to your man, you'll be able to start to see these patterns in him. You'll be able to start to see his weak spots. Yeah. You'll be able to start to see places that, because, and men, we're so like we are so like narrow-minded, which is our strength and our strength and our weakness at the same time. Like we can hone in on something so strongly and take something to the finish line, but all of this we're blind to, and that's what a great woman does. She's all of this. Here's where she's coming in and really providing a ton of value, but that also comes with paying attention.
To your point, man, you know, it's actually really interesting because I was looking at a study, and you know, when it comes to men and women, there's actually this thing in a man's brain that allows him to be what we call single focus, where in a woman's brain they notice like the separator between the left and the right side is actually thinner, which allows women to actually focus on more tasks than one. So even from like a biological sense, right, that rings to be true just in our actual makeup, to your point.
Yeah. And I mean, if women are able to, I think it's like just having a level of interest in a man, because I think when women are naturally interested enough in a guy, that can kick in. But just ladies, watch you having too much pride when dating. Having too many of these rules when dating that can actually take away from who you truly are. Because when you come in with a pure heart, like, and a blank slate, not bringing in any of the problems that you may have had in your past dating life, or any of the tricks from the trade that you may have heard from, you know, one of these toxic ass dating coaches, you know, that told you to do X and Y so you could try to maintain this leverage. Like, that's what a man notices, like this, when we're attracted to like this level of purity almost in a woman. And we can tell when she's doing things from a place where she feels like you don't owe her a damn thing. But now, just as a man, because of that, you feel like you owe her the world.
All these rules, and you said rules or standards and boundaries that you call it. Like, it's important to have these standards and boundaries. But then if these standards...
Men don't like that. Men don't like that.
No. I'm okay with standards, but but there's different type of standards. There's gonna be standards and boundaries that are that you don't want to negotiate, right? But then there are going to be with some people that should be that you're willing to have a conversation about, or there's rigid standards, right?
Yeah.
That shouldn't be rigid sometimes, right? And you know, you just said something earlier about you know, when you find like the man's weaknesses or vulnerable spots, all right? I think the real pivot in a relationship is when you are vulnerable and you start to release some of your, hey, these are some of my weak areas and my and parts that I'm vulnerable about. What does that person do with the vulnerability? What do they do with the vulnerability? Do they hold you accountable, but also in a loving way, in a protective way, but you know that they care about you and they care about your betterment? Or do they protect you, or do they exploit you? Do they wait for the next time to bring up something and exploit you on those particular ways? That will make a man feel unsafe, and now he's just sitting on the couch, don't even want to have a conversation, don't want to call you, because now that trust on that level is broken too. So I think all those things is critical.
Two things, and I think that's really important. I want to touch on something you said, Ty, and then something that you said, Marvin.
Yeah, right.
I think the first thing, Ty, is I think with a lot of women, right, and I don't know what they're saying on the chat, but it seems like the general sentiment is, well, I did those things and it didn't work. I did those things and I got played. I did those things, you know, and I felt stupid. So now, you know, I need X, Y, Z before I do those things. And I think what's really important for a lot of people is it is possible to do the right thing with the wrong person.
Yeah.
But just because you did the right thing with the wrong person, don't stop doing the right things.
Right.
You just have to get better in your discernment and your placement with who you do it with.
Damn.
Right. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing, I think that's very big, right? Because I think as men, we always hear this idea of, oh, men never communicate, men never want to talk. And I think part of that is because as men, sometimes it can be incredibly frustrating if we are talking, because we talk in points. And as a man, if you're talking in points and a woman's just talking to be heard, you often may leave the conversation feeling worse. Right? So if a man, you're going to express a point to your woman and automatically she's expressing how she felt about the point, and you keep talking about the points and she keeps talking about how she felt, she might feel better because she's like, well, I'm glad we're able to talk about it. but you still feel worse because you never got to the point.
Man, that's
so now you feel less inclined to continue to have those conversations. And Marvin's point, because we can't talk about the point, we're talking about how we feel. And I think for women, you know, just as men, we have to understand how to communicate to women, right? Understand our tonality.
Absolutely.
Being softer. Women also have to give the same grace and understanding how to communicate to men, right? And understanding that, okay, let's talk on the point. Not necessarily maybe how I feel about the point, but let's stay on the point, because it actually drains him to detract from the point, right? It actually makes him want to talk less when we talk less about the point and more just about that feeling.
Wow.
It's good.
Guys, y'all are killing it. I mentioned this guy, this author. He's one of my favorite authors. Shout out to G.S. Youngblood, who wrote The Masculine in a Relationship. And Tyshawn and I actually just secured him for an interview. So we are interviewing him this year. But he talks, you know G.S. Youngblood?
Yeah.
Man, he's amazing. But he talks about the three things that all men want: trust, love, and devotion. But with devotion being one of the harder things, because devotion is the hardest one to fake. And I actually just looked this up because a lot of what you guys said falls under devotion. But the definition of devotion is, according to Google, love, loyalty, and enthusiasm for a person, activity, or cause. Devotion is great love, affection, or admiration for someone. So devotion is something that you have to do when you're not feeling your best.
Yeah.
Devotion is something that you have to commit to when the person is not around. So those things can come boundaryless, right? Especially when your man is not performing, ladies. You still have to express that same level of enthusiasm and be patient and give him the opportunity to get it right. So I think a lot of times, because women have been very free loving and free giving to this level of devotion to men who are undeserving, a lot of times that can really scar them in very deep places.
Yeah.
But you have to overcome those things. That's why you got to heal yourself, or at least be on the healing trajectory before you jump into another relationship, because men, that is something that men watch for at all times. And like you said, Jay and Marvin, if it feels like it's something being held over your head to get that layer or that level of devotion, then it's just something that you won't be happy with.
Yeah.
That's real. Yeah. That's real. And y'all, listen, we got some really exciting stuff coming up here in this conversation.
850 people in the
Yeah,
chat.
it's crazy. It's growing.
Yes,
it's definitely getting to 1,000. Let me tell y'all what I want to do. Because of how the conversation is going and the chat is going so crazy, what I actually want to do is I want to go ahead and bring those phone calls in a little bit earlier today. Ooh. Okay? So let's go ahead and do that. Lana, you can go ahead and you can put the numbers in. I'll put the number up. Here's what I want y'all to know. I only want people to call in. Listen to me. Call in for any problems that you're having as it relates to dating. Man or woman, that's fine. Shout out to the brothers.
Shout out to the brothers. Last week went crazy.
The brothers called up here last time, but I'm okay. Men or women, I want y'all to call up. Any problems or issues that you're having specific to dating, I need you to call in, give us your name, location, and your issue. And
shout out to Pamela Sanchez, Sybil Jacobs, and Shauna Pulley for joining the YouTube membership. Go ahead and throw those on,
Jay. Put the
Jay.
headsets in, Jay, so we can hear the call. Welcome to Hardly Initiated. How are you?
Hello?
Yes, give me your name, your location, and your problem.
What's good?
Hi. Hey, this is Tasha, and I'm from St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis, stand up. That's where I'm from. Let's go.
Okay, awesome. I think I heard you say that earlier. So I have a question. So all the things that you guys were just saying as far as supporting a man and doing those things, if you know they have a passion for something particular, you can do this and that and encourage them and even help them a lot of ways. And I did something very similar, but it was a long-distance relationship. And this person introduced me to his family and was going to kind of extend himself to do something for me. And now we're not talking anymore, and it's kind of difficult for me to trust people now. So I'm not really sure. Like you said, you could do the right thing for the wrong person, but it just kind of confused me just because he introduced me to his family and, gave me a lot of personal information for me to help him do something business-wise. But not really sure how to really take that and swallow that at this moment.
Why do you believe you're not talking?
Well, I mean, like I said, there was some trust issues, of course, like, when I had came to his city, I, discovered some things. So obviously he wasn't being as 100 as I thought. And I was open to him being honest with me about whatever. You know, we're in two different cities and we connect when we connect, and I was okay with that. But for him to just, you know, for that situation to happen the way it did, it just kind of changed the way our relationship was. We're cool. You know, I'll still talk to him from time to time, but we're definitely not like we were.
Okay, so I'm going to ask some questions. I just want you to be brief and brilliant so we could try to make our way through this. But how long were you guys dating?
For about 3 years.
Okay, 3 years.
Long distance the entire time.
Yes.
Okay, and he pretty much ghosted you. He just left. You didn't hear anything back from him.
No, he didn't ghost me, but he got kind of caught up. So, of course, I stopped trusting him. So it just became more of an issue with him being accountable. You know, some people look at being accountable as, oh, that's drama. I don't want to deal with that. You know, that's the past, blah, blah, blah. But if the past is still in our present, it's very relevant. So he didn't really want to take any accountability. So it made me not want to continue dealing with him.
Okay. And
on that type of level. But we're cool. I'll still call him from time to time. He'll call me, but we're not like we were.
And your major question here, just so I can make sure we answering and taking care of you, is you want to figure out or get an understanding of why exactly this may not have worked, being that he introduced you to his family and you felt like you were in a position where you guys, I mean, I'm assuming you thought you were closer than you guys really were.
Right.
Okay.
And I know most men just don't do that. I mean, I know some people, mama, you know, oh, yeah, he a player, he brings people around, but it didn't seem like it was like that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, and we're in our 40s. He has children. I have children. I've been divorced. You know, I was married before and things like that. He hadn't. So I guess I won't ever get closure from him. But now that I'm dating other people, it's kind of difficult for me to trust people. So I kind of cut off things as soon as I see red flags. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not even able to really bond with anybody anymore like I used to.
Can I ask you a honest question really quick?
Sure.
Have you succeeded in everything that you've done in life?
Of course not. I know that there's a book called Fail Forward. Yeah, so I totally can learn from the mistakes, and I think that this was a lesson for me. It was, you know, I thought it was a blessing. So it was a lesson, and yeah, I totally agree with that.
So from this situation, what do you feel that you learned and took away from it?
I'm kind of like one of you guys said earlier, you can do the right things with the wrong person. I know with, you know, people can meet and do long distance, and it can work. You need to have an end date at some point.
Absolutely.
So I think that was another thing, because it requires a lot of trust just to be in the same city with somebody, but it requires another level of trust when you are long distance. And I know that's very common nowadays, too, with the long distance thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the major point here is sometimes it's okay to fail. Right. Not every relationship works. Right. Like I remember I had a extremely bad, you know, business partnership, you know, got stabbed in the back, you know, lost a lot of money, got locked out of a lot of accounts, you know, and literally a year and a half, 2 years later, you know, I started a new business with another business partner, and it's doing amazing. Right. But in that situation, I could have let the pain of that situation really affect me from the blessing of stepping into something new. But I had to understand, you know, kind of like I said earlier, that you can do the right thing with the wrong person, and that's okay. You just have to learn. Right. So as long as you're learning and as long as you're allowing yourself to grow and not maintain the pain of that situation. Right. And it's okay to feel it. But I think a lot of times, as long as we view ourselves as the victim in the situation, we can't move away from it, because the situation will always overpower and be bigger than us. But the moment that we can move from, oh, wow, okay, you know what? This is okay. This happens. I accept that this happened. Moving forward, I probably need to just have a little bit more discernment. And maybe I don't need to do the long distance, because long distance, you know, 3 years is a very long time. You know, maybe a year, maybe 6 months, but not at least starting off and getting a foundation in person with somebody may not be the best bet. Maybe I need to look more locally, right? As long as you can move away with the less from that, now you'll be able to move forward, but you have to be able to extract it and accept that it happened, because, you know, that's happened in other areas of life, right? Like you said before, you failed in other areas of life, and I'm sure that hasn't stopped you from other pursuits. You know, you've been able to continue to move forward, right? You know, there's this really great quote from Jim Rohn. He says, you know, life is risky, right? You won't get out of it alive. You know, but you still go outside and live. So that would be my biggest thing for you is, you know, accept what happened. It's okay, but you can't close yourself off, because that's only going to move the timetable from getting to your next situation.
Let me add to this, Jay, because I think another good thing that you said earlier, funnily, I'm actually in a long distance dating relationship right now. So what I can tell you, one of the biggest things that you talked about prior, when you talked about looking at the seriousness of a guy, how well he integrates you in his life, I think that becomes even more important when it comes to long distance relationships.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you got to look for integration even more in a long distance relationship, being that you guys already have a major boundary of separation. It's separation built into that relationship. So a man who's very intentional about professing a vision with you, a man who's very intentional about creating plans or expressing the importance of you being near him, a man who's introducing you to family, to friends, to doing all those things. Yes, there's levels to integration, but just because a man introduced you to his family, that does not mean you're the wife.
That's not integration. That's an introduction.
Exactly. Now here's the thing. When it comes down to it, is that an aspect you want to look for? Is that something that you would want to gauge to look at? Absolutely. But that's not a soul. I know that you came on here and the first thing you said was, he introduced me to his mama. I thought we were serious. So obviously you put a lot of weight on that introduction to be able to gauge whether or not that you had a very important role in this brother's life, but that is not as important as you put the weight on it. It's a lot more other factors of integration in a man's life that had more weight to him, but you put more weight on that than that probably even than that was even important to that man himself.
I agree with that. A lot of times people put the weight on the milestone rather than all of the things that actually leading up to the milestone and beyond.
Yeah.
And just the thing, long-term relationships in general are a little bit difficult. Men like to live the double life because they got you and they can kind of have fun. And then when you come into town,
right, that was the problem.
We can all of a sudden.
Because we were doing some business things together too, and this wasn't right off the top. This was like a year into this.
He can live a double life and get the girlfriend experience when you come in town.
And that's the thing when you guys were talking about love language, because his love language and my love language is physical touch. So there you go, right there.
And just logistically,
and I know it's more so. It's not just sex. I understand that doesn't mean sex, but that was his love language and that was mine, and mine also is quality time.
And
so that was another whole barrier in itself, and that's what caused the demise of our relationship.
Here's what I'm gonna do here. We're gonna take we're gonna answer the rest of your question. Stay tight. We're gonna answer the rest of your question offline. But I really do appreciate you. That was a great question, by the way.
Let's get it, Tasha.
That was a great question.
Definitely, you got to do a segment on long distance relationships because
it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Okay, we got you.
Thank you.
And
later,
ladies and gentlemen, guys, because a lot of times, we can get caught in thinking that the perpetrator is the only person that needs to be asking for forgiveness and to set themselves free. But the victim, you have to set yourself free as well before you can be able to move on freely into the next relationship. So don't forget, of all the people that need to be forgiven, you are included in that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, my clarification question would have been.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, so really, I would have. I'm really curious on if she was more interested in why that happened to her, or if she wants to be back with that person. Because I didn't really get that in that last call. But if she knows that she doesn't want to be with that person anymore and she's just fully trying to move on, I think the first thing to do is to understand that you may not be the problem. I think a lot of times women immediately when something happens, or if a man is unfaithful, or if there's deception or lies, they automatically think that, what did I do? Why didn't it work because of what I did? What could have I done better? It could have been that's something that he's been struggling with for his entire life, and you had absolutely nothing to do about it. So the first thing you have to do is just realize that, okay, I'm going to take a look at myself to see, but I also have to accept the fact that there's nothing else that I could have done. That's that person's problem. So I forgive that person, I forgive myself, and I clear that off, and I break that soul tie so I can move on.
Gotta move on.
Gotta move on, baby. Lana, we can take another one now. I want to make sure we got it out. Are they already here? All right, Harley Initiated, give me your name, your location, and your question.
What's popping?
Hello, this is Sade. I'm from Alexandria, Virginia.
VA in the house. What's up,
What
Sade?
up?
Hello. So I've been I've been dating, trying to date intentionally, and I guess my issue is when meeting guys, I've been trying to be forthcoming with where I'm at as far as looking for something long term. And as you guys stated, most men may not be there. Like, I guess they don't lead with, I'm looking for marriage. So, so when I state what I'm looking for, and I don't hear, the actual answer that they're looking for something long term as well, I've been starting to end things, and I don't know if I'm cutting the relationships, like the dating prematurely before seeing where it goes. I'm just not sure how to navigate that.
So, man, so this is like you planted a seed into the ground, and then you've taken the time to see some of the roots grow, and then now you see the flower starting to bud, and then you're like, it's not growing fast enough, so let me just pluck this up and let me plant another seed, and now you got to wait for the seed to grow. I mean, sometimes you got to use your intuition and just know that when somebody's just not going to be serious, but other times you got to give that relationship a chance to be watered, to be developed, to see how they act at different seasons, to see how they act when conflict arises, because you really don't know somebody until you see how they actually handle conflict. And I think if you're cutting that off too quick, you could potentially be stopping a blessing before it has a chance to be a blessing.
Well, let's find out if it's too quick. I'm very curious. When are you introducing this long-term aspirations to him? How early on in the dating process?
Lately, being that I had a past, I've been introducing it very early on. So, like, a guy would approach me. We would, of course, talk it maybe a week or so, and then, ask, what are you looking for? And I just let the guy know that I'm looking for something long term. We're going to get to know someone. I kind of give a little spiel in the beginning.
What's the spiel sound like?
You want to know answers?
So recent situation. I explained that I'm in a space in my life where I am looking to date with intention, and hopefully this could blossom into something long term, something like that. I'm not the best with words, so I don't know if that scares the guy or I'm just not sure what I'm saying wrong or doing.
I mean, if you're just saying that you're interested in something on the the serious variety, or you looking to date intentionally, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If a woman is
but here's the thing: what are the men saying? What is he saying? How are they responding when you cut him off?
So in the recent situation, the guy, he just says, "I'm chilling." He's chilling.
So hold on. So okay. I really want to unpack this. So the guy that you cut off, how long were you talking with him before you cut him off, first of all?
So we had been in communication for a week, a little over like a week and a half. And it started out good morning text, communication throughout the day. And then it started to fall off. And so the communication was very spotty. So basically we had...
Wait, hold on. You getting good morning text within the first week. Had you had sex with this guy?
Ooh, that was my question.
No.
Well, because this is the thing. I know ladies like the good morning text, but I always get very confused on how a dude is texting you good morning and he don't even know you. It's only been a week. Like, you should be having a good morning. So in terms of you dealing with men and ladies dealing with men, I don't think there's anything wrong with expressing that you have long-term interest. I think that's very important. Now, the thing is, if you go about seriously, intentionally dating, it is going to be a lot of guys that's full of shit. That's just, the thing is, you're doing the right thing by eliminating those guys, but you got to make sure that you're putting yourself in front of men who are likely to have long-term intentions. If you're going about, you only delegate or you only focused on dating online, it may not be that many people looking for long-term interest. If you go into certain places, it may not be that many guys looking for long-term interest. So try to find different strategies to putting yourself amongst men who are likely to have a long-term interest.
Which we'll be talking about later on in this show, ladies. We're going to get there. But go ahead, Jay.
I think that's brilliant, man. I think it's two things. To me, I think, a week and a half, I feel like it's very hard to feel anything, right? I mean, it's literally only been a week and a half. And again, I don't know, how you're necessarily communicating how serious you want to be. But again, if it's a situation where it's been a week and a half and from a guy's perspective, if he feels like you're pressing him, but hey man, so what are we? From his perspective, he might be like, dang, well, it's only been a week and a half. Like, I'm just chilling. I barely know. I'm trying to get to know you.
Right.
So do understand placement again. Like, obviously you don't want to get your time wasted, but a week and a half I think is a little premature. The second thing, which I think Ryan hit on, which is huge, is where are you getting this guy from, right? I think that's really important because a lot of women, especially if you're big into dating apps, you have to think what type of guy is going to necessarily be on a dating app, right? How serious is he? And especially what type of dating app you're on, right? Is this like a Tinder? Is this, Black People Me? Is this Christian Mingle?
Right.
Different dating apps attract a very different type of guy and a guy that's looking for a very different type of thing. So I think all of these things are very important to think about when you're even looking at the quality of guy that you're talking to.
But isolated in itself, if you are communicating that you are dating with intent and that you do, in the most elegant way, you're not looking to waste your time. If the guys are saying they're not interested in that, then trust them. They are not interested in that, and just keep it moving.
Yeah,
you're not gonna find your Prince Charming out of 10 dudes. You gotta. It's economies of scale. So you gotta put in work to actually get that guy.
It's different versions of that too, ladies, because the guy who wants to marry you might not always say, "I'm dating for marriage." Okay, so don't be so rigid on that. Now, if the brother literally says something like, "Yeah, I'm not looking for nothing serious," right? Or, "Hey, I'm chilling." I would say that those are probably signs that this is not a brother who's serious. But right now, if a brother says something like, "Hey, look, right now I'm getting to know you before I'm able to determine if that's something that I really want right now," or so on and so forth, I would let that brew over a bit, right? Don't be so rigid where you're just cutting brothers off just because they don't say, "I want marriage right now." So just again, be intentional about, because it's so interesting. Because a really funny thing would be like if we pull this brother's like face up on the screen, I could tell you right now that I'd be like, that brother ain't ready for marriage. So also, ladies, we gotta level up our discernment too on the brothers that might be ready for marriage. All right.
Look, we just hit 1,000.
We just hit 1,000 in the
so
chat
that call
here.
in was epic. Listen, we've been running
Absolutely.
this live for 3 months. It's been 3 months. We've been running it every Monday and Wednesday, and we finally hit 1,000. We started off in the chat with 100.
Yeah.
150 on the first episode.
Shout out to y'all, brothers.
So
But let's
this is
finish it
epic.
out with y'all brothers
there
here.
we go.
But look, thank you so much for that question. We're gonna get to the next one here. Hope we was able to help you here, okay?
Yes, thank you.
Of course.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I thought that was some great game because it is some guys that's gonna be like, hold your horses.
Right.
Hold on now. I'm dating with intention, but I don't even know if you qualify yet. So I understand those guys.
Yeah.
But the guys who are very clear, I'm chilling, I'm just dating right now.
I want to see where it goes.
I'm just
wanna
having
see where it goes.
fun.
What a good time.
I'm just having fun right now.
And ladies, let's understand we are human. So depending on the lady, the guy answer could change. So you also have to take a look at how you present yourself on the outside, of course, beauty, physical fitness, grooming, those type of things, and then also look at how you present, how the internal is actually presenting itself. Because if you got a level of desperation and we can sense that, of course we're not serious.
No,
so
that's 100%.
really take a look at yourself and make sure that self-worth is on point. Hey, welcome to the show.
Hold on one second. I'm gonna say this before we get to this one. The young lady that I'm actually dating right now, I was not open at all. Like, I wasn't dating with intention for marriage at all. That just was not what I was looking for. And the cool thing about it was she was like in a similar place where she was like, "Hey, look, listen, I just think you super dope, but let's build a relationship." And that's what we did over time. And now I'm in a lot more intentional space in my life because I see what's going on with this young lady. And that can happen a lot of times. Ladies, if you are super dope and you got a guy that you think is an absolutely great prospect, and this is somebody that you think is willing to go about investing in and seeing if this relationship can groom into something big, ladies, just be patient in that, because I'm telling you, a lot of guys that I speak to, a lot of married men, they don't say, "I was looking for a wife." But listen, if you a wife, you get wifed. And so, you know, I'm just
I
saying.
will say Tyshawn is a great gentleman, and the lady is likewise. But that was a huge risk on her part.
It is.
So,
dating is a huge risk.
It is.
That's
a
the
huge
reality
risk.
of the situation.
So if you're not willing to take that large of a risk, there are ways that you can still court a man or show a man that you are interested as he gets things together and get things tidy up for him to be able to be in a long-term relationship.
I don't know what y'all think about what Shaw said, man.
What's
He
that?
said, and if I ever fall in love, I will be sure that the lady is a friend.
So look, Marvin is showing his age right now.
I'm showing my age, man. Oldies, R&Bs, 90s, but I'm telling you, what do y'all think about that, man? Taking the time to just
Be friends.
not say let's chill, but like to develop a friendship to see if this somebody that you actually like.
Hold on, wait.
We're gonna talk about that. Marvin.
Let's
We'll
get
talk
to
about
that. We
in a
got
second.
somebody on the phone now. Harley initiated. Give me your name, your city, and your question.
Hello, guys. This is Dad from Orlando, Florida. I love what you guys are bringing out here, so I'm glad that my call got through. So, hi.
Hey, what's
What's
up?
up?
Shout out to Orlando.
I'm sorry?
Shout out to Orlando. We appreciate
Oh,
you.
yeah.
What's your
Shout out
question?
to Orlando. I'm actually from Jersey originally. I just moved out here.
Okay, what's your question?
My question tonight is, how do I adjust my tolerance level to, it's similar to the question previously where, you know, you don't have the time to deal with certain things and you're doing the filtering. So you just want to put it out there real quickly. This is what I'm looking for, so nobody's wasting your time. But I'm finding out that a lot of the men, they want reciprocation early on. Like they'll call you twice and they're already expecting you to make the third outreach or reaching out to them. And I get very, I have no tolerance level. It feels like the guys that I like, they don't see me. The ones I don't want, they're the one that shows up. They're clingy. They want to suck all your time. And they really have nothing of weight for discussion.
Okay. Hold on, wait. Was that a question?
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out. Just ask a very clear question.
I'm sorry?
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, how do I adjust my tolerance level? Meaning, you know, to work on the patience, because you guys keep saying that, you know, just kind of wait it out type of thing.
Hold on.
But
Okay, we got you.
I want to touch on something because I heard something that I actually think may be the pain point of where we need to start. You said that you feel like the type of guy you want doesn't necessarily give you, I don't know if it was attention or you're attracting, but the guy that you don't want is kind of always wasting your time, et cetera, et cetera. So the first question I have to ask for you from your perspective, like what is the guy that you want?
And but sweetie, be brief and brilliant with these answers here because you got good energy, but I can tell you can go.
okay. Well, I like the ones who are very confident. They're well off financially. They're tall. They take care of themselves, and they're very respectful.
So my next question for you is that type of man that you want, what type of woman do you think can attract that type of man, or what type of woman do you think he's attracted to?
Similar.
Can you be more specific, right? Because similar may not always be same.
Okay, I would assume that he would be into the type of caliber of person who is a high value woman, a woman that takes care of herself as well, a woman who's not cleanly, a woman who's taking care of herself, a woman who's independent. That's my take. I don't know if that's true, but I would feel like he would want somebody like that.
When you say independent, describe independent. What does independent mean to you? What is an independent woman to you?
Meaning that you're not running to him for every little thing. You can take care of yourself. You can make decisions. You can handle situations as they arise. You could, like take care of things without having to check in with him on every single thing.
Right. So one thing I think that's really important is you stated that you want a man who's confident, obviously competent, well off financially, taking care of himself, good looking. However, I think the antithesis of that sometimes can be a woman who's independent in the sense of she doesn't need him. She can take care of things herself. Yeah. She doesn't go to that man because she has it. And a man who's in that space, right, if he doesn't feel needed, he may not feel naturally attracted to you. And that may be a reason why you may be attracting men, and it sounds like, that are more needy, right, that actually may need your help because obviously, you know, you're more independent, you're taking care of things. So the man who's not taking care of things may be attracted to that level of energy, where the man who already can take care of things, he may be more attracted to the woman that is more codependent, who's willing to work with him, not, you know, hey, I can do it by myself. I don't need to work with you. I already got it. So, you know, I think it's very important when you're not getting the things that you want, you have to make sure that you're in alignment with that thing and you're not becoming the antithesis of that thing, because if you're consistently getting the opposite of it, it may be because that's just where you're at in terms of what you're attracting, and you may need to start internally first, right? In terms of being a little bit more specific and changing some things about yourself to actually be, you know, attractive to that specific type of man.
I agree with that. It doesn't take a lot to show a man that you can take care of yourself.
Hold on, wait.
Right,
I'm gonna
hold on,
wait. One second.
Like if you're like a go-getter, you're independent. You know, you travel. You got your own house, own business, everything. You're set.
Well, listen, you gotta listen. Slow down. You gotta take it easy. This is the thing. We talk about the 3 things that men want: trust, lust, and devotion. So if you taking care of everything, that means you're not giving me the opportunity to earn your trust, right? So the thing, men don't need to see a lot to know that you can take care of yourself. You got a place to stay, your bills look paid, you look groomed, you got a vehicle. That's all I need to know. The average man, that's all they need to know. Now, if you are coming in, if that is in your mind every time you sit with a man, everything that you can do, then that has to be the way that you're presenting yourself from the outside. And if you present yourself like a man, then you're going to attract men who operate like a woman. So it's very, very important that you take a look at how you think and how you are operating every single interaction that you have with men. And you can start off by practicing. You go to a place, hey, try asking the waiter for help. Try asking a man for directions. Try asking a man in front of you in line if he can suggest an item on the menu for you to pick. But this is the thing, however you operate, your thoughts operate is exactly how it will present itself in action. So the things that you are saying about the men that you are attracting, you have to first change the way you think.
So look, that's it. We're going to close it out right there. So I appreciate you for giving us a call in. We're going to get to the next one. You have an absolute blessed day, okay?
We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you.
And listen, this is what I want to do for everybody in here, please. Guys, we got over now. We've smashed 1,000, okay? We working on 1,100 now. So I need us. We only got 451 likes. For everybody that's new, that's rolling in here, please quickly get us to 600 likes in here very quickly, guys. Get us to 600 likes. Oh my
goodness, 1,050 people.
Yes,
insane.
I want us to go ahead and get to 600 likes. That's not even, listen. That's just over half the amount of people. We should be able to easily do that. So close out your chat if you're watching on your phone and hit the thumbs up, not the heart, but the thumbs up. Delano, we got somebody else on here? All right.
Real quick, shout out to Learning and Earning for joining the channel membership. Shout out to my girl, Janelle, who's not only a moderator, she just went and balled out and bought 5 bottles, 5 Harley Initiated memberships.
Made it rain in the chat.
And shout out to Danica or Danica. I'm not sure which one it is, but shout out to her because, listen, we know you've been in the chat. You've been active. And thank you for finally giving us the opportunity to join the community. And shout out to my girl, Yali, who sent over that banger $25 super chat. Yali, listen, we need all of that.
We need it.
And I got another super chat unless we got a call. We got a call?
We do. We got one on here. Welcome to Harley Initiated. Give me your name, your location, and your question.
Thank you for taking my call. My name is Margaret, and I'm calling from Tampa.
I love it. I love it. Shout out to Tampa.
Shout out to Florida in the house.
They are. We might have to do something out in Florida. That's where we get them calls from. All right.
I'd love to host you guys down here in Florida. I got a great spot. I'd love to have you guys here, so let's talk about that.
Hey, listen, dropping the email in the chat right now.
Go ahead. What's your question?
My question is, I really want to hear you guys talk about this new nonsense that these fellows are talking about, these polyamorous relationships. You know, the definition of them, they got some twisted definitions. And some of these guys are out here, and what they're really doing is pimping, okay? So I met a fella, and he started talking about polyamorous relationships. I said, I've been approached with that before. I don't know if it's something I'm really interested in. So he already had chick number one, and he was sweating me tough. He invited me over to his house for dinner, and I said, well, I'm not going to stay. I'm just going to come for dinner. He said, no. Pack your stuff, stay the night, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, 12 o'clock, homegirl number one showed up.
Wow.
Talking about she going to put her car through the building. Okay. Well, I tell you what, I like the air inside my tires, not on the outside, so I'm about to bounce. And he said, oh, I don't want you to be upset. I was like, you're not even protecting me from your nonsense. What are you talking about? So I left. After I left, safely away from his home, I sent him a text message. I was like, I don't really think I'm down with this nonsense that you got going on. So, I'm about to bounce.
Okay, so hold on. Y'all got to listen. We got to get the questions. Yeah, listen.
Margaret, hit us with
I
that question.
appreciate the stories, but give me the question now.
Here's the question. So what's up with these dudes with this whole twisted definition of polyamorous? Because my definition of polyamorous is a man can have as many women as he can afford to support. But some of these dudes are piling up, chicks, and they look like they basically pimping. What's with the, flip-flop type of definition of what polyamorous relationships are?
Okay, thank you so much. Actually, look, we could take this one right here. You don't even got to be online for this one because we might go in a little bit. But so thank you so much for your call. Be blessed, okay?
Thank you, Margaret.
Man, let me tell y'all, ladies, this is just my honest opinion. For ladies in here who are dating with some intention, who want to get a serious relationship, any man that tells you that he's in a polyamorous situation or wants a polyamorous relationship, that is a major red flag. It is a major red flag. Y'all already see regularly in the space that we're in the climate that we're in as a culture, we are struggling as a culture to literally manage one woman and one man, keep one family together in this culture. So you have a brother now who's approaching you to tell you that he is going to successfully head a home with multiple women, the kids, the families, the grandparents of all the women and everything else that comes with heading a family. To be honest with you, that is an absolute red flag. If it was me, if I was a woman, I'll tell you, I will altogether stay away from it, because that mean that he has adopted a mindset and a belief system that probably backs this. And it's a lot of it's already misalignment as it relates to me and what I want. And I have yet, and this is the big problem, I have yet to see brothers at scale in abundance be able to bring this relationship style to success. I just haven't been able to. And trust me, I was looking for the brothers, okay? Because I wouldn't mind, in my mind, having multiple wives sounds amazing. It sounds like a bunch of fun, but to be honest, just me keeping it real as a man, I want to have that wants to have a successful family. I want to stack the cards in favor of me being able to create this reality and being able to model after successful families. I have not been able to find brothers that are doing this in a way that I say, I want to do it like that brother. And most of the brothers that I see want to have these polyamorous relationships. They truly want to have the cake and eat it. And most of them are not qualified to have the cake in the first place. So those are my thoughts about the polyamorous relationship, but I'm curious to see what you guys think about it.
I think the biggest thing that never gets talked about, especially when it comes to polyamory, is the kids. No one ever talks about the effect that polyamory has on the kids. And what's really interesting is I've actually talked, I have some friends whose fathers, right, have came from a polyamorous relationship, and they said it was one of the most destructive and terrifying things that they've ever been in. The fighting between the wives, right, the clamoring for attention, the misunderstanding of time and relation between brothers and sisters, like, that part doesn't get talked about. And and even too, right, I think guys always like to bring up the adage of, oh, well, kings back in the day had, 20
that was kings.
Wives and 100 wives. Well, number one, that was kings, but they also don't talk about how the families was murking each other for the kingdom.
Yeah.
Like brothers, princes were literally killing other princes so there was a level of dysfunction even in that environment that wasn't like healthy. right? Like people were dying, people were poisoning each other. Like it wasn't just like it was all sweet peaches and cream.
Right.
So I think people just don't holistically look at that lifestyle, what it produces, and to Ty's point, like I haven't seen great men being produced from a polyamorous relationship. Like I've never heard a dude being like, man, I love my dad the way he loved all my moms, my stepmoms, you know, in that situation, the way he showed, like I've never heard that in my life. So to me, I can't relate. I don't get it. I don't understand.
And it's many ways that because I get confused about polyamory versus polygamous and all these different things. But I would say, and I don't want to knock what anybody is doing. But to be honest, I prefer monogamy, and that's what my relationship structure is going to be. But I would say, ladies, before you agree to even taking the next step of going to somebody's house or potentially kind of, vetting out if you want to be a part of the relationship, like it's so many questions that you need before you actually go do that. Like, what are the rules? How do you run it? You got some reviews that I can look at so I can see if these other women are satisfied in this situation. So just make sure that you're just not involved with some dude who's just lazy and just wants to have a bunch of multiple sex partner under the guise of polyamory. So yeah, that one, that's really all I got to say about that one.
No, that's a fact. I mean, and that's a tricky situation. With you coming up to dude's house and a woman pulling. Honestly, you didn't even have to tell me that whole story. I knew it was about to be some mess.
Some ratchetry.
To be, I knew it was a ratchet story coming behind this. And y'all got to get better at this, okay? Because I'm going to start getting real aggressive real soon. I know that the call-in segment is new, but y'all, listen, we got to get to a question, y'all. I know y'all will ask the questions on the follow-up if we need it, but get to your question.
My ladies
Lano,
from Florida off the chain. They off the chain in
I
Florida.
want to take one more call in, okay? I want to take one more call in. Hopefully we can get a brother through, man. Brothers, where y'all at, man? Is the brothers trying to get through?
Yeah.
If a brother's trying to get through in the chat, put chat. Brother, look, if you trying to get through, put chat in, and I know to close the lines for the brother because I want to hear a brother come through. But look, go ahead, Lano. Let's go ahead and take another call in real quick. Y'all can go ahead and get it popping in, ladies.
These are good, though. Shout out to Kimberly Childress Wade. Shout out to the original J-Lo. Shout out to B.W. Smith for joining the membership. And shout out to my girl, Naya Lewis, for sending over that super chat. Naya, we love you. And I got one more for Get Rachel Ray. Rachel, you already know, we rock with you.
Yes.
I know she's going to be on the chat for a minute, but she does have a super chat. Where we at on the call, Delano?
No, we ain't got one. We'll let them wait. We'll answer this even if they come in. We'll let them wait.
I did dating and relationships in 4 to 6 months. I grow exponentially constantly and outgrow men. Married twice, just don't think monogamy is for me. Interesting.
This is a woman?
Yeah.
It's a woman. Are healthy men open to ethic non-monogamy now? Wow. I'm going to be honest with you, Rachel.
I think that sounds such like a,
Let me tell you, that's
healthy non-monogamy?
No. Basically,
That's that Jada language.
Yeah.
That's
I get it. But this is the thing.
That sounds like.
Rachel, first of all, we need to have a sex show just for Rachel because that is a great question. But me personally, I don't think a man that is self-respecting and that actually has care for his woman is gonna be cool with her sleeping with another man. Now, this is the thing. If I'm in a relationship and you go do something like that, just best believe the point I tell you can sleep with another man, I could care less about you. So I think that any self-respecting man is kind of going to feel that way. Now, we haven't had somebody on here that educated us on the non-ethical monogamy game. So I don't want to
No, not non-ethical.
I mean, when the ethical monogamy game. So maybe there's
is
something.
that marriage?
There's
though?
something
But
I'm missing.
is that marriage?
That's in marriage. That's in marriage.
So ethical non-monogamy means you. So you marry everybody, or you
No,
marry
no,
one
no.
person and you just kind of go outside of it.
You get the hall pass.
like an
You get to
open
go out.
relationship?
An open relationship.
Okay, it's an open relationship. I get it.
And
My
Rachel-
thing is, what does outgrowing the man mean?
Yeah,
like
That is so true.
what does that
What
mean?
area?
Because in my mind, it's like part of even that with what that woman's doing is speaking to who that man can be, right? And are you nurturing? Like, what is that communication? Because if you're outgrowing that man, what did you see him in? What did you see him in or see in him in the beginning that made you want to be with him? Right? Because my thought process would be if you were with him, you saw him as a man that could grow with you.
Yeah.
Right? So what happened in that process that made you outgrow him? And were you not able to speak to the king in him to also get him to do the same? Were you not able to water that plant? Like what's the situation there?
So Rachel,
Jay.
make
Good
sure
question.
you drop in that additional information that Jay Hines just asked of you, because I think we need to go a little bit deeper on this. But just for the fellas, what is ethical non-monogamy? An ethical non-monogamous relationship involves two people who identify as a couple but are not committed to a traditional relationship. They've given each other the opportunity to date or have sex with other people independently.
The fact that you got to put ethical in front of shit is already means it's probably some backward shit. You got to put, you got to claim that it's ethical.
And Rachel, would you
ethical murder?
About that.
Would you really want to continue to be in even a sexual relationship with somebody you've outgrown? So, I mean, if you in a relationship where these dudes are just not satisfying you after the 6 months, Rachel,
it sounds like this is you settling for. And I'm gonna be honest, we was talking about this. We had a men's retreat. Wait, who is on the phone right now? Look, listen. You listen. Whoever's on the phone, you have to mute your call right now so we can keep this going. We're gonna come to you in a minute. But let me tell you this. I'll say this. We were talking this weekend in our men's retreat, and when it comes to marriage in remove the paperwork, remove all this, the marriage licensure and all that nonsense. What it really represents is the man, from a man's perspective. Let's focus on the men. Is the man is committing his life to your protection, to your provision, and everything else you need. Like he's completely committing that to you. And any bit of sacrifice that he has to have in his lifetime to make sure that you receive that, it's the ultimate commitment. And I can't imagine a man being 100% committed, ready to sacrifice everything, if you are not sexually committed to him in its fullest way. Yeah. Because that is, again, your womb. That's your most prized possession as a woman, and you sharing it.
I'll be ready.
So now he's supposed. What is he supposed to do? He's supposed to ultimately give all of his protection, provision, and care to you, and you sharing your womb with other men.
You got to call that.
Are they also who gets called when the tire goes down? What's the rules here? It just seems it's too complex to me. It doesn't fit right with me, but let's actually get to this caller here.
But I'm curious. Rachel got me curious. She got me a little curious what's going on with this non-ethical or this ethical monogamy.
I'm not curious. Welcome to Hardly Initiated. Give me your location. Give me your name, location, and your question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
We can hear you.
My name is Kim, and I'm located in Sacramento, California. And my question is, I've been seeing this guy. I met him on an online site, and we've been talking for about a month now. And just the other day, he texted me good night, a good night text, and at the end of it, he said, "I hurt you, like I love you." So I didn't really know how to respond back to that. I was like, "What? You love me?" So we're on read receipt, so we can see each other's text when we text each other. And I said, my response was, "You love me?" And then he texts back the next morning, "Yes," with like 3 exclamation points. So I'm kind of confused. I guess my question is, a month in of talking, we went on 3 dates. He lives an hour and a half away from me. So it's long distance, but not really long distance. To me, an hour and a half is not very far. But I'm just thinking, a month in for a guy to already tell you he loves you, that's kind of soon to me. It's almost put like a red flag up in my mind.
Huge red flag.
Oh my
Huge
God.
red flag. He just love bomb you. The thing about it, he wasn't even real with you, and to do it through a verbal or in person. He actually loved bomb you through text.
And no, with an emoji.
With an emoji.
He didn't even type it out. He couldn't even. He couldn't even face
committed
it.
to it. That's like somebody saying "love you."
Yeah.
No I.
LUV.
And I'm curious. I'm curious because it can be different strategies for why people use love bombing. I'm assuming you have not had sex with this guy yet, right?
I did.
Okay. Well,
he wasn't talking to you. He wasn't talking to you.
Hold on.
He wasn't talking to you.
Here's I think the question I'm interested in asking. When he said that, what did you feel? What was your initial gut reaction?
kind of like shocked, like, really? Like, so soon? Like, I care, you know, I like him a lot. Like, my first thought was, I was shocked, and I was like, okay, I don't love you back, so why are you saying that to me?
Okay, so that I think that's important, right? Because if your initial gut reaction, if that guy says I love you, and you're like, whoa, like I don't love you back, because I think as a woman you're probably going to be way more intuitive about the situation. Now, if the connection was so deep where you already were feeling that, and then he said that, I don't think that that's as tough a decision of what's going on. But to Ty and Ryan's point, you know, you said a month and a half in, and you know the guy saying I love you, that is a little bit questionable, especially if the relationship hasn't even progressed in a way to where you feel you are on that level.
Yeah, where's the emotional composure? That's the thing. When somebody is quick to love bomb, I just usually have reservations about things that they would do in the past. What if you do something that he doesn't like? What if you decide to end the relationship? Like, what is this person capable of if they literally can't just take their behinds to sleep versus sending you a love bomb text overnight? I just think that's just very skeptical to me. But let me ask you this. Has he done anything else that kind of could have indicated that he was a little bit emotionally unraveled?
No.
I'm just curious. How much
Mm.
time do you actually spend together? How often do you talk? Like on the course of a day, if you had to sort of put a time, hours or minutes, how much do you all talk every day?
Every day, I would say. Well, we both work, and he does like what do you call it? Building maintenance, I guess, kind of like janitorial work. And the building he works in, it's a bad connection. A lot of times he's in hot spots where it's not a good connection. So we'll text more throughout the day. I work also. But I would say as far as talking on the phone every day, maybe a half hour to an hour, not every day. I would say maybe every other day. And when we've gone on dates or went out, he was total gentleman, paid for everything, opened the car door, walked on the street side, very mannerable man. But he had told me, because I kind of just was like, what are your intentions? What are you looking for? And told him what I was looking for. And he had said, well, I just got out of a marriage a year ago, so I'm not looking to be married anytime soon, just to let you know. I'm not saying it's out of the picture. And I was like, that's fine with me. I'm not really looking for marriage per se. If it happens, it happens. I was looking more for a friendship that develops into a serious relationship down the road, Yeah,
this story is getting more interesting. So he just got out of a marriage a year ago.
Yeah.
So, and you don't even talk that much. 30 minutes on average per day. He has spotty service when he's at work. So you haven't really taken the time. I don't know how many times y'all had sex or anything, but he hasn't really even taken the time to really build that strong emotional connection with you. So yeah, and for it to be text, the first time to say that, I don't care if it's 6 months, the first time you say that to somebody should never be a text. So that's the weird part for me.
Do you guys talk late at night?
Sometimes it's not all the time late at night, because he goes to bed. He goes to bed early because he's up early, and so he's usually no later than 10 o'clock. We'll talk.
See, my thing is, it's not that a man or woman can't fall in love with a month. Like, you can fall in love very quickly depending on what you're susceptible to, but it's just the way that the man is going about communicating his emotions that, to me, is an indicator of some level of emotional immaturity. Now, if he has done all these other, he's got some good sex going, you got the good days going, you got the intellectual conversation going. If all those are good, fine. But I would definitely say you proceed with caution. Look at how he interacts when you disapprove of something, or when he expresses disapproval. Looks at how he acts when you're not as available as you were the week prior or the couple of weeks before. So really look at all those things and find out why. Not only is he communicating that he loves you, find out why he did it in that fashion. And if you go these next couple of months and you start to see things that indicate that he might not be the most emotionally have the most emotional force fortitude, then you might want to back away and even see how he responds to that. Because this is the thing, ladies, it's okay. And I tell you, it's okay to pull back from the person that you dating to see how they respond, because that's a very important part of the getting to know process. So if you pull back from this man, and because it's a level of you trying to discover some things on your end, and he acts out in a way that makes you uncomfortable, then that might be an indication that this man is not really emotionally mature enough for you to move forward. So just really proceed with caution, because I do think that's a red flag. But if you're saying he's doing all these other things right, I still think it's worth pursuing. But like I said, just make sure you are very careful with that.
I think it's a deeper red flag, actually.
Really?
What's that?
I think the deeper red flag, I'm just listening to the story, right? So he's at work, he's not getting good service, he's not getting good connection, right? They're at home, they're not talking every night. They talking sporadically, like maybe 30 minutes, maybe every other night or something like that. He's an hour and a half away. Man, I don't want to, I respect my bros.
You sent that brother married, huh?
What it sounds like is he... It sounds like he texted her that to tell her what he thought that you wanted to hear.
Okay.
And because the weird part about that is that once you text him back, and I think you said you texted him back, I don't know, because your read receipt was on, he didn't respond back to the next day, and then he responded back yes with some explanations. That whole gap in between two, I don't know how long it took you to respond back. It tells me that he probably was up to something else. And he was just telling you that because he thought it would make you happy enough to not want to talk to him. I don't know. It's just something more weird about that to me.
But either way, it's an emotional red flag, whether he's seeking your approval, because we don't control women's emotion. They're going to do what they do. Or if he's, love bombing you, or just is so head over heels that he just doesn't know how to communicate maturely. But either way, this is an emotional red flag. So I would definitely say proceed with caution.
Yes, listen, thank you so much for coming in. That was a great question.
Great question.
All right.
Thank you. I love you guys' show. Thank you for taking my call.
Wait, are you a member?
I'm about to be.
I like that. You got that right.
All right, listen,
We love you
have
too.
a blessed
Thank you.
day. Hey, listen, let me tell y'all, we got over 1,100 people in the chat right now. When I tell you we just blew through
Incredible.
1,000, can y'all just go ahead and get us? Can we get the 800 likes, please?
Yo, the
Let's just
super
break
chats
every
are
record.
going nuts right
Can we
now,
get to?
too.
Somebody just bought 10 hardly initiated memberships all at once.
Shout out, listen.
Yo, they are making it rain in this chat right now. Who is that?
That's Felice Olivia.
Feliz Navidad.
She been with us. You see that badge? You see what color that badge is? She been rocking with us for at least 2 months.
Shout out to
Look at
you.
that. She went balling. 10 bottles, baby. Who can master 10 bottles, baby?
That's the
we flexing.
That is. We flexing in the chat right now. We got some super chats, Ron. Let's hit some of these super chats before we go on to the next subject.
Hey, buy some super chats, y'all. Buy some more. Support these brothers.
Super chat. Shout out to Get Rachel Ray for sending over the super chat. Therese Buford, he says, we have to be honest. Statistically, 25% of black men are fathers. 72% of black babies are born to unwed mothers. We have to be honest. Black women statistically have multiple children by the same man. I think Therese just want to hit us with a Debbie Downer on that one. Shout out to Therese. Shout out to Shanae Randall. Thanks for educating us on these topics, learning so much, even at 53. Shout out to Shanae. Shanae says she's bringing her daughter to the event, too. Shanae, listen, I got my eye on her, all right? Shout out to Kat Harlem. Kat Harlem says, keep up the great work. We need a show about reconnecting with an ex after a decade plus. Kat, I take that very seriously.
Okay.
We will put that in our show prep, so that's coming on the way. We got shout out to Kimberly Wade. She says, appreciate the information you guys have been getting out on your channel, viewpoints from both sides. We appreciate that.
Yes.
And I think that is it.
You got the Sports Life right here.
Yeah, we got a couple of memberships too. Shout out to Nahid Ahmed. We appreciate you. And shout out to Olivia for dropping all of those memberships. And then the last one, we got the Sports Life.
Let's do it.
If you are in a relationship with a man for 2 years and he does not confide in you with his problems and is not financially stable, how much space should you give him to respond and show emotional connection? Wow. I'm going to leave that up to the fellas.
So wait. I'm going to go ahead and go back over this.
Repeat that real quick.
2 years, y'all been in this relationship. He does not confide in you with his problems and is not financially stable. How much space should you give him? Here's the thing you got to look at, ladies, because one thing y'all have to look at, you have to be very observant of the guy that you with. If a man is not financially stable, that's one thing. But if a man is not financially stable and taking the daily activities to change his situation, that is a completely different thing. If if this brother's not where he want to be, but you see this brother waking up early and he's going to work. You see this brother is actually after work. He's spending his free time wisely to be able to change his situation. He's being very intentional about learning and taking his finances is now extracurricular. He's reading books. He's going to events. He's taking the activities to change his situation. It's almost like if y'all invest in stocks, you could say, look, this stock here is trending upward, right? The money ain't came yet, but he's taking the activities to show that these things are going to change. You see the effort, you see the ambition, you see the fire and desire in this brother, which is so important because as things go up and down, that's what you want to look for. A brother that's actually committed to the activities. But if this brother's in a situation where his money ain't right, and you see this brother when he come home from work, which obviously if his money ain't right, the job ain't really that right, and he just chilling, playing video games, drinking Heineken, smoking blunts, doing whatever he got to do to escape the reality of this situation. He's not confiding in you because he doesn't want to face the reality of that conversation. And you see him in real life escaping his reality as well outside of work. Then we already know that this is probably going to be a hamster wheel that this brother's running on. So the biggest thing that you can do is what we talked about prior is pay attention to what he's doing, how he's living. Because that's going to be the biggest determinant. A man is action oriented. We are men of action. We are men of mission. So if you don't see the action behind what we saying we want, right? If you don't see the mission in us, if you don't see us going after it, then it's a very good likelihood that this is not a brother that you want to go about devoting your life to supporting here in a long-term relationship.
And a man that can't emotionally connect with you, and I'm not saying that men should share every single thing with a woman in terms of issues that they're having, but if it's clear and you know he got a financial problem, he's financially stable, and he's still not asking for some kind of help or some kind of assistance, or at least having the gumption to be open with you about the situation and giving you a plan for how he's going to change things, that's not a man I would necessarily feel the most comfortable with. Now, it would be a man that I would be trying to have a serious conversation with. Because if you guys are going to be doing this thing long term, you need a man that's going to let you know when things ain't right. You're going to need a man to let you know when he needs a little bit more support on your end, whether it's emotionally, financially, or physically at times. So you got to make sure that you got a man that's able to take you and the family deep into the future. And being that it's a team, it's a partnership, that man has to be able to level with you. And it's already been 2 years, which I think it sounds like you putting in the work to earn that level of trust and loyalty. So at this point, that man need to buckle down and go ahead and have a conversation with you. Now,
that's a fact.
I'm not saying you jump down his throat, you hit him with the nagging, a bunch of, hey, hardly initiate, they say you need to do this. What I'm saying is you need to sit him down, tell him how much you love him, how willing you are to remain loyal and be supportive, assure that man that he is your man, and then open him up to having a conversation, or maybe even taking the next step to getting some level of therapy. Because sometimes men can be so sheltered and so hurt, they don't know how. They desperately want to open up to you, but they just don't know how. So maybe he does need for you and him to sit in front of a therapist or a pastor to get things right. So don't just leave him on the side and dump him. But yes, you need to take some action steps so you guys can get on the same page.
So two quick things. I mean, that's great advice. At this stage, 2 years, I mean, 2 years is crazy. 2 years is crazy, right? At this point, walking away from 2 years, I like the idea of having that tough conversation and bringing up mental health, bringing up counseling. But my question would be, was he financially stable when you met him? Was he ambitious and driven when you met him? Did he have that drive when you met him? Because a lot of times what happens is a woman will get with somebody when they're at that level because they see the potential and not just what that person is actually doing. Too many people get with somebody for potential and not for where they at. And then you go into that relationship thinking like, man, I see potential. I'm going to change him. I'm going to help him. I'm going to make sure that he get to this level. Was he showing effort back then? Because if he wasn't, you also got to look at yourself and say, who am I choosing? Am I being codependent, choosing somebody because I think that this person can be changed? You know what I mean? Stop trying to change somebody and pick the person who you see the future with. Typically, if a person is ambitious and driven and they've continued that habit, they're going to continue that habit. But if they were not driven before, they're going to continue that habit too. You can't just change that. Pick somebody else.
That's it right there. We actually got a couple more here we're going to hit. Before we go on, the super chats are rolling in. Let's go ahead and take care of the people real quick. Ryan, what we got?
I mean, this is the thing. The super chat is really going crazy because they're just right on par in terms of what we should be talking about. Shout out to
very true.
Johnson. TV Johnson says, thank you for having this conversation. You guys are changing lives out here.
Much love to you, TV.
With that super chat you sent, you just changed our lives. Thank you so much. Shout out to Jawan Ayer, who just sent over a super chat. Jawan, we appreciate and love you so much. Oh, Soy Rainer. So Soy, listen. I'm falling in love with Soy because she is so active. Remember, she dropped us. Shout out to Soy, Yali, and Nicole for dropping their Instagram profiles.
That was her. Okay.
Shout out to her. She says, I'm over a year into my spiritual walk and dating has been blah. Okay. How do men really feel about a woman who is more spiritually mature than them? Or do you only recommend me date someone equally or more spiritually mature than me?
Okay, so
Jay postured up on that one here. Jay's ready for that one.
He ready.
Here's the thing that I think is really important, especially when you have somebody who is newly into their spiritual journey. What tends to happen is that person becomes fully unbalanced, and generally they develop a rigidness about them. And I think, like, especially for women, it's very important. It's not wrong to be spiritually sound, but don't be so spiritually sound that you become so rigid that now you actually repel anyone from you because you're so, spiritually full that you're trying to Bible belt people as soon as you talk to them. Like you still have to be able to be balanced as a person, right? If the first conversation you're having with them is, hey, did you go to church today? Not saying that's not a priority, not saying that's not important. But it's almost like, the person who you feel is in a cult or is trying to sell you something. It's just like, God, can we just have a conversation first?
Yeah.
So you have to be very certain that although you're spiritually full and you're in your spiritual journey, that you're also you're not trying to drown people in your spirituality. Right? You know what I mean? Because yes, you might be having a spiritual overflow, but you also have to be mindful of the cup you're pouring into. If you see the cup is full, don't keep trying to drown the person in it. Like, no, you need to drink it. Because what you're going to experience is that you're going to repel people. And that's something that I see a lot is women, especially when they get into that space, they just develop this rigidness. It's almost like they don't even have the same freeness of being a woman because they're so, Bible belt, robot to where it's like as a man, it almost repels men away from them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, me personally, I love a woman who's spiritual. Now, the thing is, if you're more spiritual, more healthy, I mean, that's just all the more motivation for me to get you because I'm like, you're going to help me get right and get to these levels I'm trying to get. So if a man is intimidated by that, you definitely want to first evaluate how you are presenting that. And assuming you're doing the right things and you still remaining a lady and not, because a lot of times when women when a woman starts to make money, when anything that she gets and she can look at a man and be like, since I know, you should know. If you have that attitude when you go into the relationship, it's not going to work, and it can be over dominating, overwhelming. But if you still kind of, want to just let that man know that, hey, I got to this and I can see you going to this level and above and beyond, then I think that man should still be interested.
Let's get to that next one too, by the way, so we can go. No, trust me, we got some more for you because they rolling up in here.
They are. So, okay, I'm gonna get the next one real quick. And Marvin, you're going to lead us off on this one. Shout out to Shauna. She says, what does a woman who has done their work to heal their past trauma look like to a man? Happy again, and you've done the work, but now cautious. The work is ongoing, and compassion is required. So pretty much, what does a woman who's done their work to heal their past trauma look like to a man?
Oh man, that's a good one.
That's a really great question.
They can be open and even have a conversation about it, right? Not that you bring that up at the beginning of the relationship, but they might see that person in public and they're not running away from that person, right? They're not. I've had situations like that where a person who saw X and they trying to hurry up and run a whole different way to make sure they don't cross sight. You know what I'm saying? So what that expressed to me is that you're not healed. And also the way that you just communicate vulnerability, right? With your own situation, with yourself, with me, Are you somebody who, like, when we bring up any kind of past relationships, do you have anything nice to say about a past person, right? There are so many situations where a person, they can only speak evil, they can only speak negative of somebody that they used to be with, where obviously it couldn't have been all negative because you were with that person and you stayed with that person. And can you take personal accountability for yourself? Like, if we talking about it and you say, what could have you done better in a relationship?
Oh, that's a good one right there.
Automatically are thinking that you can't think of nothing. Well, I did this and I did that, and maybe I was just too nice. Maybe I gave him too much attention. And you know what I mean? It's like that job application when they say, tell me about the time you made a mistake. Well, I was just too perfect. I just wanted to, do everything right. Well,
right.
Now I got red flags on that because everybody should be able to look at something in a relationship and say what they could have done better or where they could have went a different route or where they learned from it. If you can't tell me you learned anything that you used to do that you're going to change about yourself, then you're not healed.
You ain't healed, sister. Fake healed.
Just remember.
It's a lot of fake healed women out here.
Yeah.
I see a lot of fake healed women out here.
And when you read in a book, this is important because there's a lot of women who say they're into self-development and working on themselves, but what they do is they're reading not for themselves. They're reading to talk about somebody else.
And reading for validation as well.
So check this out. That's another good point. First of all, a lot of people that say they're working on themselves, men and women included, if you ask them what are they doing to work on themselves and they start to mumble and stumble, they ain't doing shit. They're not working on themselves. If I say I want to lose weight, I'm going to create a very specific plan to do so. I'm going to work out 4 to 5 times a week. I'm going to remove starch. I'm going to stop eating this. I'm going to increase this. I'm going to take a multivitamin every day. It's a very specific plan I'm going to take to do that. If I break my arm, it's a very specific action step. I'm going to take action steps to fix my broken arm. These folks that's healing, ask them what they doing to heal. And I guarantee you there's no regimen in place to heal. So people think that healing is just not talking to nobody right now. People think healing is just being idle.
Right.
That's not healing. Just because you're not dating nobody and you're not getting smashed right now don't mean you healing. So that's what I mean. Fake healing is not actually being committed to the action steps to be a better person, not actually digging into the pain, which is accountability, which is the trauma, which is all the things that you really got to face to actually to convert into a new person, to find the root issues of what were happening. And most people, men and women, are typically not doing that. And we just got to make sure we're very intentional about actually being committed to those steps.
Yes, and it's not a competition. So just because you went out and you done got yourself together, don't mean you got to put it in front of somebody's face and say why you ain't got yourself together, right? So we do have to work collaboratively, and you have to understand that not everybody develops in the same field or endeavors at the same time.
Yes. Yes, yeah. I think we got one more in there that we got to get to, right?
Shout out to Jawan Ayer. She says, at what point should men who you meet on dating apps share their real name immediately? Before or at the first date?
Why are you going on a date with somebody who don't know their name?
That's the question of the night right here.
I think it means they have something to hide, but some men claim concerns about identity theft. This is the thing. A man should share. Me personally, anytime I actually send my name, I send my first and last name. I don't got nothing to hide. You can look me up, whatever, but you should at least know this person's name. And to be honest with you, I don't think there's nothing wrong that women use True People Search to go ahead and look up and see kind of what that person got going on. So if the guy's not giving you his full name or at least his real first name, I mean,
think that's crazy. No way you're going on a
That's
date
wild.
and you just know him as Smokey 911. Like, there's no way. That's wild.
now,
right there.
Good question. Now we got another question, which guys remember $10 above super chats, but I'm a look out for Learning and Earning because they just joined the YouTube membership today. Okay, so and plus it's a really great question. What would be some reasons a woman gets thrown into the rotation versus you actually taking them seriously?
And honestly, that is a good segue into where we are about to actually take this conversation.
Look at Jay. He looking, oh my
now.
God. Look at Jay. He
Look
looking
at
like,
Jay.
I'll tell you how you get thrown in the rotation.
Let's talk about that. So listen, I'm gonna be honest, man. Ladies, we can instantly look at you and tell what category you're gonna get put in. And that's just how it works.
Damn.
Like, it doesn't take long for a man to see you and know where you have the potential to be in his life. And it's a lot of y'all just based on your social media, just based on how you walk into the grocery store, just based on the first conversation we have. You instantly get positioned into a woman who will never be able to have long-term potential into a man's life. And I want to go about talking. Let's talk about some of those things, right? Because what are some qualities that you guys see in a woman that would instantly position her as someone that does not have the qualities of being a long-term partner?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just boils down to the word temperament. A lot of times you can tell by the woman's temperament when you're interacting with her how you are going to place her in terms of relationship, casual, etc. And also a side of that as well, I think to the men's point is where that man is at as well, right? Because sometimes you can have a woman that maybe you would seriously date, but because of the space that you're in as a man, right, you may not progress to that level. So there is a layer of that, but I think there's a few things. Number one, kind of like what I was talking about, how emotionally accountable is this woman? If she's emotionally all over the place, if she's always complaining, if there's always an issue, if there's always drama, immediately those are things that long-term for a man, I can't, this isn't gonna work. In terms of her ability to integrate into your lifestyle. So for instance, if you know that you're going to business luncheons, if you're gonna be around other CEOs of a certain type of men, and she's not the type of woman who can carry conversation, who can exist outside of you, let's say at a party or an event, right? You don't necessarily have to always be next to her. She knows how to carry the conversation. Mm-hmm. If she knows how to be able to present herself properly, right? In terms of dress, if she understands etiquette, like those are different things at a higher level where you're looking at a woman, you can tell her, long term, I can't even bring her with me into the spaces I'm looking to evolve into as a man, right? Like that's not even gonna work. I think also too, like, I think her level of, again, being able to anticipate needs, right?
Right. Like we talked about earlier.
Yeah. Like if she's already coming with the temperament of what can you do for me?
Yeah.
Right? I think that automatically is like, man, she's already looking to take. But before we haven't even developed a relationship, but she's already coming with the energy of
parasite energy.
Leech energy, just draining. To your point, very parasitic. To me, it's just like, I can't take you seriously. And what I say is mercenary energy. Right? And the thing, again, I always say the difference between mercenaries and soldiers. Mercenaries, they're sold to the highest bidder. Soldiers are loyal to the soil, right? It don't matter what's going on. They're going to fight for their country because of the pride. It ain't about what's happening. But a mercenary, there's always going to be somebody who can make a bigger payment. Yeah. There's always going to be somebody who can do something more for the mercenary. But a soldier, right? And again, don't take this out of context. I'm not saying that you should be taken advantage of, that you should just accept anything, that you should just be loyal. No. People are loyal because there's pride in the nation that they're from, right? It's not just like blind loyalty. But I think those are just things that as a man you can kind of feel and you can kind of generally sense that will kind of, put a woman in that bucket.
Hold on, wait 1 second. Ladies, if y'all are some soldiers, I want to see if you think based on that definition, if you're a soldier, let me see you drop soldier in the chat. I want to see which ladies actually display this loyalty, because it's a common rumor going around that it's not much loyalty in this dating space right now. Yeah. Let me see the soldiers right now in the chat. But what's your thoughts on that? What are some traits that you would see that'll eliminate a lady from the long-term partnership?
So I think social media is a blessing and a curse, right? Because you got social media and you're looking at and when you got this is the day of the Instagram model. Instagram models, they're everywhere, right? It's like everybody's trying to compete with how many likes they can get. If they show this much skin, how many people are going to comment? How many people are going to DM them? And their sense of worth is based on how many people like their picture.
Yeah.
And what happens is you got people can see who's liking pictures, right? So me and you got to be disciplined. You can't just be liking people pictures out there, right? People will notice that. But then you seeing everybody else that you know, all your boys liking this person's picture, and then you talking about you want to be the main one. When you're the reason why you're a rotation player, because right there on your Instagram, you made yourself a rotation player because everybody liking it. You commenting, putting hearts on everybody that ain't comment to say something to you, right?
Yeah.
Then and then the second thing is like, how do you make that person feel? That's very important. Do you treat that person like a man, or do you treat that person like you're their mother? See, you can be you got to ask yourself, are you an asset or a liability on that person's life? And we not in a time no more where just you being beautiful don't make you the prize. Just being cute and standing by that person's side don't make you
It ain't enough.
prize. What are you actually bringing to the table? What additions to that person's life? And it doesn't even have to be money. Like, I can be with a woman that don't have a lot of money, right? But does that person make me feel like I can go and take over the world? Do I feel like that person supports me? Do I feel like that I can come to that person with a problem and she gonna actually listen to me? Can we get into a conflict and an argument and she's gonna actually take the time to not just have me listen to her and her concerns, but is she gonna actually pause long enough to listen to what I have to say?
Yeah.
Where when I come to her about a problem that I'm having in this relationship, does she take that serious, or do I end up feeling like I gotta apologize when I came to you? You know, so you gotta look at all of those things. How do you handle conflict? Like, I want a woman who I feel like we can have a kind of conflict, and then she's not gonna stonewall, she's not gonna disappear, she's gonna communicate about it. We're gonna have a real adult conversation. Because if not, like, I think conflict ends more relationship than anything else. The way that you handle conflict, not the actual conflict.
I have to touch on this.
Okay.
Because I've been hearing this so much. And, you know, I think going into 2024, we have to stop this conversation.
What's that?
This whole energy of going into a relationship and saying, I am the prize, has got to stop. This I am the prize. That is the most destructive and I think arrogant display that you can walk into a relationship with. To go into a relationship with another person and take this stance and posture of, well, I'm the prize, so you better be glad that you can talk with me, whether it's man or woman, is extremely arrogant. It's not to say that you should not have confidence in what you can bring, but if you are truly the prize, there's no reason to posture or even have to voice that in the relationship or come with that posture, because you know who you are and you don't have to alert or take away from somebody in the relationship. And I think too many times, like, you know, men are going into this situation, well, I'm the prize, right? Show me what you can do for me.
Yeah.
I'm the prize in this relationship. And they don't understand that arrogance is what's killing the relationship. Right? Because they're unwilling to come humbly in the situation, and nobody wants to date or be with somebody that is taking the energy that they should be blessed that they're giving them a chance.
That's a fact.
Who wants to talk to someone like that? Like you're a peasant and they're a queen or king who has somehow lifted you from the ground, and you should just be blessed that they happen to notice you. There's such a level of arrogance that I don't think is healthy for companionship or integration, right? It's more of a situation of worship, right? And like going to 24, we have to stop with that energy in those conversations, because I don't think it's healthy at all.
It's hella. Let me tell you something. That's the fastest. If you say I'm the prize, I already know.
Yeah.
I already know where this gonna go.
I dealt with that, man.
I already know where this gonna go. I'm gonna tell you this too. Fellas, have y'all ever dealt with those, like, just a woman who just generally has a negative aura, where she has experienced a lot of, when you talk to her, her general disposition just comes from a place of negativity. Her thoughts, even if it's something like slight, even if she says something about other people, guys have this too. I don't like people like this in general. Like, if they're walking, instead of just noticing, man, that's just a beautiful sunset, they'll just generally say something like, damn, it's just cold out here. Like, they'll just find negativity in whatever the situation might be. There are people who just kind of have, especially my woman, I really want my woman to be like this force of positivity, especially knowing the kind of man I am. So a woman who frequently gossips, a woman who's frequently into gossip, a woman who looks for things to be negative, a woman who is trauma dumping, typically telling you the bad things about her day, rarely shares wins. There's a lot of women like that. And I don't even know if you knowingly know that you might hold this energy, but this is something that instantly would have guys, not just with those with that energy, not just will have guys position you to be in the rotation, and I don't even like you just in my rotation sexually with that energy, but also get ghosted. And that's another thing. I actually want to drop the first poll of the night because this is something I had in here. The ladies wanted me to ask, and I had prep for the conversation. A lot of ladies are talking about they got ghosted, okay? I actually want to get a poll in here. Let's ask the lady, how many ladies have gotten ghosted before? Let's figure that out. How many ladies have gotten ghosted? Because this is something I had planned for y'all to talk about. Because I got some fellas here, and I can't say that fellas that we haven't done some ghosting in our past, but hey, it might have been deserved, right? The ghosting might have, because if I meet a negative Nancy, baby, you're getting, it ain't happening.
These votes are coming in. Women only. Have you ever been ghosted? And Tyshawn, let's go ahead and do a super chat. Shout out to Margaret, Miss D, the job coach, sending over the super chat. And I got a question while we got that poll up. Guys, get to that poll ASAP because I'm only going to leave it up for the next 5 minutes. Shout out to Love. She says, is there a chance for a woman to be taken seriously after a man is done with her if she was a lot of drama previously?
Very rarely. Yeah, I mean, it's very rarely. At that point, it's kind of a wrap.
I think that's comparable to when a woman loses respect for a man. When a woman loses respect for a man, you're not going to come back from that. And it's the same thing. If you cause too much drama and that man finally walked away, I would agree with you. It's a done deal.
It's too much pain that's attached every time he even thinks about that situation because all he can think about is the drama. And you saying you changed is not a strong enough sell point.
And the embarrassment, and this thing, his friends, I mean, the way the men in his life would look at him
crazy, like, bro, again?
So it's social pressure keeping him out your life.
When a person shows you who they are, you got to at some point believe them, right? Like if somebody's a lot of drama, they're not going to not be dramatic. They are drama. They are dramatic. They're dramatic. A person can make an action and then not do that action again, but being dramatic is who you are. That's your personality. Like you're a dramatic person. You like the story drama. And then what's so crazy is the people who are the most dramatic are the main ones that's saying, I hate drama. I don't like drama. I hate it's just like a person who say one thing that I never do, I never lie. You find out that's the person who tell little bitty lies more than anybody else. right? So no, you drama. I don't got time for it. I'm too blessed to be stressed.
And that's something that self-respecting men do take very seriously, and it's usually no recovery from that.
Yeah.
And I think one other thing too is I honestly judge people the most by what they do when they're mad.
Yep.
What are you doing when you're upset with me? Because that I think is really going to show who you are at the core. Because there's certain things that even if I'm upset with my partner, even if I'm upset with my lady, I will never do.
You won't go there.
Just out of the respect. Right? But if and I even had past where like there were certain things that were done after this person was upset that at this point I would never get back with them. I don't care how upset you. I don't care the reason. Once you get to a certain level of disrespect, to your point, Ryan, there's no coming back.
I agree with that. And this is the thing. I do tell, men that once they have lost respect from their woman, just go ahead and just move on. Because the likelihood that she's come back is just very minuscule. So I would really say the same thing to you. If you had a good man and you was just a lot of drama, hey, it's unfortunate that the relationship is no longer around. But look, get yourself together. And by doing that, you're going to be able to find a man who is just as good, if not better. But
or just as dramatic as you are.
What I'm saying, assuming she's changed. But if you have changed, just go ahead and leave the other dude in the past. However he knows you and his friends, and what your brand there is cemented. So just move, walk away, and just find you another man after you got yourself together.
What I want to do here, by the way, can we please go ahead and get this to 850 likes in here? Go ahead and get it to 850 likes. And Ryan, can you close out that poll?
Yeah, I'm going to close out this poll. It's only been open for 3 minutes, guys. So look, literally in 15 seconds, I'm about to close out this poll.
And the question here,
I'm closing out this phone. The question, women only, have you ever been ghosted? We got 185 votes and 100. Wow.
It ain't changing. That's it.
Wow. This is incredible.
70% of women have said yes, they have been ghosted.
And we just officially hit 1,200 people in the chat.
It is like, it's a party here tonight. Y'all don't understand. Y'all don't understand.
Like, this is literally 400 people more
than we've ever had. No, the ladies are loving the single guys' perspectives in here. Hey, by the way, we need moderators, drop the Instagrams of these brothers too, because we got to make sure y'all go and follow these brothers here. These brothers are tremendous in real life. These are my boys. So I'm telling y'all, this is not just here talk. These brothers are tremendous in real life. I want to ask y'all this too. Give the ladies some game real quick. Just give me one thing, or in the past, if you've ever ghosted a woman in the past, why did you ghost a woman? What are some reasons that might happen to them if they experience that?
I've definitely ghosted women before. I've been a ghoster, right? So, I think, like you said, when the person gets mad. So what I've had to work on myself, like, because I don't want to just give advice without saying what I need to work on, right? Sometimes I don't run to the conflict, and I allow artificial harmony to last too long, right?
Artificial harmony.
Artificial harmony. Yep. And then what happens is, because I wasn't assertive about it, something lingers on. And then what happens is, in the midst of a conversation or a disagreement or a conflict, if that person goes too far, like you said, when they get mad, they go too far and they say something, I just want to veer away. I don't want to deal with it. So I've had to work on myself, so I wouldn't be that person that's the ghoster, because at that point, it's like, I don't want to talk to you no more. I'm done with you. I will cut you off in a minute, cut you off in a heartbeat. But I have had to learn that not everything is worth cutting off right then and there, right?
Okay.
So I won't even say that's all the time. That's not her problem. Sometimes it's just my problem.
Okay.
That I got to just get better at, like being able to express my boundaries better, say how I feel, what I won't tolerate, nip it in the bud right away. Because sometimes if I don't nip it in the bud right away, it will continue to happen. And if it continues to happen more than 1 or 2 times, my first reaction is just that I don't feel good. I don't want to be in this anymore. I don't want to talk to you anymore.
And see, I'm with you. See, to be honest, if I ever ghosted a woman in my life, it typically is one major reason I'm ghosting you. I'm typically ghosting you if I felt like we could not have a conversation. Like if I feel like we're not here mentally and that conversation can't flow well, then that's the number one reason I just would be so unmotivated to talk to you again that I feel like I won't even want to give you an outro to this whole relationship. It's just, I'm done. Like we can't really talk. We're not here together in conversation. And if I feel that way, because me personally, I have to be mentally stimulated in a relationship. Outside of sex, I have to be. But if that's the case, you most likely, bam, Casper the ghost on my end, baby.
and it's not always the ladies, though. I will say that it's not always you. Sometimes men just literally are just in a place where they got a bunch of women, and for whatever reason, you just was the recent one they talked to, and you just didn't make the cut because they didn't get a chance to know.
That could be the thing.
So I wouldn't take getting ghosted personally. But if it is happening on a recurring basis, then absolutely,
yes,
you definitely want to take a look at what you're doing, because you can get ghosted these days for any reason.
Or he wasn't healed.
Right, that could be it as well.
Check it. I got something fun for Jay Hans here. This is a really, this is one right here, Jay. Is a woman in a relationship when you're dating her, is having sex too very early in the relationship, is that a turnoff to you? Would you put her in a box if you guys have sex very early in a relationship?
Honestly, what's early?
First date.
I think it depends on what the conversation was like. Really. And
that was a safe answer, bro.
No. Here's why I say that, right? If it was like a situation where it's like, okay, movies, light dinner, talk for an hour, and then, for whatever reason, where am I spot? Then we have sex. That's an entirely different situation than, let's say we talk for 5, 6, 7 hours, right? then, you know, we might have did another event. We might have went out. We might have had like an actual whole day, and then that situation happened. I think that context is very different because obviously the level of connection, I think, is a little bit more serious versus something where it's like, if it's only like, you know, we talk hour and a half, 2 hours, it's kind of like, is this that serious? And even for me, right, like I've noticed sometimes even like with myself, the more serious I've been or the more potential I've seen with something, sometimes I've been more apt to even wait and not even cross that boundary because I'm cool with kind of like where
you hold off on the sex. You saying?
Yeah. Like
Wow.
I've actually done that, right? Like for me, where I've had situations where I'm like, okay, well, let me actually like hold off, right? Like you know, we're gonna see each other a lot. Let me actually be able to see because I'm so, to your point, like mentally stimulated, where it's like I can appreciate that side of things, right? And I'm cool with not necessarily having sex, right? Because like I you know, you can kind of sense that it could go that direction, but you're like, actually I want to kind of maybe develop this other side. This is actually really, you know, intriguing to me. You know, so it honestly, it just depends, right? It's like results may vary.
Hey, that's been his quote of the night right there.
But yeah, I just wouldn't take personal offense to being ghosted. You never really know what it is. But like I said, if it's recurring, you want to take a look at it. But these days, I mean, people are
No. We on having sex on the first date. We ain't even on the ghosting no more.
Yeah, okay.
I don't even know.
Listen, I got caught in the chat.
Yeah. Well, hold on, wait. Let's go to Marvin because I want to know this one. Right.
You notice I ain't say nothing. I'm like, look, I think we going back to ghosting.
No.
He went back in time on us just now.
Appreciate y'all for keeping me on point. I got caught in the chat.
Man.
So you just not going. Okay.
No.
So he's just not going to answer the question.
So
next question, please.
My answer is no. That is not a disqualifier, right? It's not a disqualifier because I think Jay Hines said it best, man. It depends on how the vibe is going, how everything is going. I mean, I have had a situation where I've had sex on the first day and we ended up together for a few years.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And it was the impact of how that person acted afterwards, right? So if I have sex, so a lot of people blame the man for changing if you have sex, right, or too quick or at all. Sometimes it's a woman changing. You get that situation where it's just like now it's just so clingy and so this and that and this and wanting to talk more than usual and all of that. And at that point, then then the situation might change. But if you get a woman who's now she's still vibing you, giving you some space. Like y'all can still go out and hang out, crack jokes. It ain't got to be nothing. You ain't got to have sex every time. You can just have great conversation. That actually can happen. I know people personally who've had sex on the first date. They've been married for 20, 25 years, and they openly admit that. So I don't think it's an automatic disqualifier. Now, is it better to wait? Absolutely, it's better to wait because then it shows more discipline, especially on a man's part, because a man can show that he's willing to wait for it. But disqualifier, nah.
Ladies, that's good news for the ladies.
I'm on the page with you. I'm on the same. It's not disqualified, but you do need to be exceptional if you do give it up on the first date.
You gotta be exceptional.
I'm just being real.
Exceptional is crazy.
So just find out early. Get it out the way.
Yeah. But ladies, hold on to it.
Hey, so listen. This is what I want y'all to know. We coming to an end here. I need y'all to send y'all final cohort of super chats in for these brothers. We got these brothers important. They got to wake up early in the morning. They got morning routines and all that. You know that high value male stuff they do in the morning. They wake up early. They got to be great. So I want you guys to go ahead and send me your super chats so we can ask whatever questions we got. And we actually about to close it out on these last super chats here because I know they coming in. Ryan,
they coming in. Shout out to my main man Larry Love,
one of the
Jr.
brothers that's
82.
consistent here rocking with us.
He says, I recently dated a woman like that. I now know the warning signs when I meet a woman like that. Negative women. I want a woman who is peaceful and wise with her finances. Relationships can be work and exhausting when you're with the wrong person. First off,
feel you on that one, Larry.
I mean, the biggest decision a man has to make is the woman that he's going to spend the rest of his life with. So Larry Love, I absolutely agree with that. Shout out to Sunshine and Beauty, another one of our valued members. She says, how would a woman respond to men who use abbreviations in texting in a classy way where he takes you seriously? How would a woman respond to men who use abbreviations in texting
in a classy way where he takes you seriously, Sunshine, you're gonna have to edit that joint. Set us the revised.
So who's sending? I'm confused, Sunshine. Who's sending the text? You or him? Now, me personally, I don't really send that many texts unless I'm, confirming something is going on. I'm more so. I'm very traditional with the phone calls. I even leave voicemails, that type of deal. But the texting,
voicemails?
I do leave voicemails.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So and voicemail, I do voice messages too. Yeah.
No voicemail.
My ladies, they say they like the voicemail. They they think the voice is sexy. You know what I mean? I do
being a
this
pen pal.
professionally and everything. You know what I mean? But no. But no. If a guy is sending too many of the abbreviations, I mean, I think that's kind of kiddie or something. I don't know. And then a woman, when I see a woman sending a bunch of, she like communicates in only abbreviations and a bunch of emojis, I think she's just like a little girl. So what do you guys think about the
I'm a
abbreviations
horrible
text?
texter, bro. I'm just gonna say
me too.
I'm a horrible.
Me too.
Somebody can write me like a long 2-3 paragraph text, and I'll be like, "Thank you so much. I appreciate it." You know what I'm saying? It's just so. I
I'm the
mean,
same way.
you got to think about it. Like, a lot of women, they love to be, and this is what makes women beautiful. They love to go into detail. They love to say, "Hey, can you stop by the store and get some milk?" They're gonna tell you everything that they did before they got to the store, after they got to the store. All I want to know is, did you get some milk? That's
Right.
it, right? And sometimes, that's not in my nature. So I am if you do the disc profile, I'm a D. I mean, I'm a in the disc profile, which means I'm short, I'm brief. I don't like a whole lot of small talk. You know what I'm saying? So you catch me at a party, like, people say, "Man, you'll walk away from somebody quick," and I don't mean to. It's just that, like, I don't see the purpose of having this extended conversation when it ain't going nowhere, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm responding back to a text, and I'm not trying to match you just because you wrote a long 2-paragraph essay, like, I'm not trying to write. I want to answer your question, but that's it, and that don't make me wrong. But when we get in person, I'll sit down, I'll read a book, I'll answer questions. We'll have a long, intimate conversation, but through text, I ain't about to do that.
Not through text.
Not through text. I got one
feel
for
you
y'all.
on that.
This is
I
a
feel
good
you on
question.
that.
This looks like, I tried to look at the profile. It might be coming from a Latina. She says, Anna Dominique, she says, "Am I not getting wifed up if I have road rage?"
Most women have road rage.
I'm gonna be honest. Now, I mean, here's the thing. It just depends, because you saying you saying road rage, but I don't know if that road rage is taken off the road. Right? Is it really just road rage, or you just got rage? Okay, because you now could be falling into this whirlwind. You know, them Latinas, they be fiery women too, right?
Yeah.
So they could just be real feisty, fiery women. And I've dated some of those feisty, fiery women, and they're super fun. They're super fun. And I'll tell you, to be honest, I won't be marrying a very feisty, fiery
That's my
woman.
problem, bro.
So like that, and see, I
Very-
can
very-
imagine.
Very
but see,
masculine men like fiery women.
I see.
I love fiery women, and I hate it at the same time.
And see, that's the thing. I can see with your personality type too, that you might like somebody, because you seem really reserved just in general. So fiery is kind of like me. I'm already, a personality as it is. So I like a very cool woman. Like, I like a cool woman just in general. That just seems to be the kind of woman that, fiery women is just is
gonna be
for fun.
fireworks.
Fireworks.
I don't mind the emotional tidal waves that come from the fiery women, but the road rage thing is tricky because that's a public display of anger and frustration, right? And I'm not trying to go somewhere where you cussing somebody out and now I gotta fight and defend us every other time we go out. So with the road rage, you definitely want to look internally, because you got some thoughts in there that are unsettled. That could be anxiety manifesting itself and you just pissed off. I mean, you got to really think about this. If you at 8 o'clock in the morning get so upset because somebody cut you off, you clearly didn't have the right type of morning, right? So think about the law of right beginnings and the law of right endings. How are you starting your day and ending your day? Because if road rage is overtaking your personality on the road, you need some help.
That's a big fact. And guys, please, guys, because we over 1,200 now. So help us. We breaking records right now. We've never hit 900 likes in the chat ever. I want us to get to 900 likes tonight. So everybody just please quickly get to 900. And this is a hell of a question to ask. I can't wait to use. I don't even know if you saw this next question.
I like that.
But this one is gonna be fun here.
I like this question. And shout out to the last.
This is how you end the night right here.
Shout out to the road rages out there, but shout out to Zena Lee Cat
Check
Trades.
this one, y'all.
What constitutes bad? This is a great. What constitutes bad sex, fellas?
Oh man.
Let us know, and I want everybody to chime in on this one.
Wow.
Give us one or two things that's just like this ain't good.
That is a great question.
All right, so when you're having sex, it don't have to be foreplay it don't have to be I don't have to have foreplay, right? But at the same time, like what was a weird occasion to me is that I was with a woman and she never wanted it. She wanted to get straight to it. I was like, dang, that's like something a man would usually do, right? That was kind of weird, right? It's like at first it was cool because I was like, all right, cool, we get right to it. But then after that, I'm just like, it ain't no like touch, nothing sensual, like nothing. Like then she didn't want to change positions. I was like, no, this is just weird. Like, so that was bad sex to me.
Wait, that
Okay.
now I would say that's unique as hell right now. I would say
She just didn't want to change positions.
Didn't want to change position. And well, I guess I go too deep if I say that. Let's move
No,
on.
go ahead. Look, it's
Yeah.
after. Look, it's 10:30. Go ahead, man. It's the time for the shit.
All right, it's after dark.
It's
Like,
after dark.
It's weird when a woman don't want to do like give or receive oral sex. That's weird, right? So
Yes.
something like that happened. I mean, that's a red flag.
Super. That flag is red and waving high in the sky.
Yeah,
I need
red
that.
flag.
I need that love right there from you, baby girl.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you this. Here's what I would say bad sex is right here, okay? I noticed that just with certain women, I don't know what it is. Certain women you just might have a natural chemistry with when you have sex with them. Like for some reason, y'all stroking is in sync. Like you just finding those spots with ease. When you kiss her, the kiss just flows very well. You know those awkward kisses where y'all just not really moving at the same time and you putting tongue in and she not putting tongue. Y'all just not really in flow. It's something about like a natural chemistry with a woman that makes sex really great. Even if y'all stay in one position the whole time. If you have this chemistry with that woman that is just allowing it to flow and it just seems like y'all are in harmony, it's so beautiful how that happens, where bad sex to me is where I just can't find that sexual harmony with you. We are just not on the same page. Your body is just not in sync with my body. Now, I get that we got to learn our bodies, but it's just some women I've just noticed that it's just way more, it's a way more uphill battle to have good sex with you. Where it's just other women on the very first time, I don't know what it is. It's like magic.
Natural chemistry.
But that chemistry to me is what makes it good sex.
What about you, Jay?
Honestly, I agree with Ty. I was gonna say the same thing. I think it really just depends on the energy that you have with that woman, right? If you're really connecting on all cylinders, you're having that conversation before, you're connecting mentally with that woman, generally that translates into good sex, right? But when you don't have those things, right, and then you're getting into sex, and to Ty's point, it doesn't have that flow, that natural chemistry, and it just kind of feels just
Like robotic or something.
It's just like it's just
mechanical.
Yeah, man.
You got to have some kind of walls. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's be real. If I'm like, damn, like, why can't I feel nothing tightening? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think the ladies can do things to practice
Can you
on
do
keeping
something
those.
about that?
Yeah, to practice on keeping
Can
those
you
pelvic
exercise
muscles.
that?
The
Those,
Kegels?
yeah, the Kegels. we gonna have something about that. It's sexual health, making sure they're keeping the pelvic muscles tight, and kind of letting it
Right.
breathe. Not too many different partners in the same
Lord.
short amount of time. That's also important as well, because you got different
Damn,
shapes
I
and
ain't
stuff
supposed
going
to
on.
be I ain't supposed to be lasting this long. Like, what the hell is going
No,
on?
right.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
why is this like a wide hallway or something?
Yeah.
Like,
Hot dog in the hallway.
It is a few things. Y'all listen. First off, they turn into a whole. It's a few things that go into it. Hygiene is very important.
that's funny.
So make sure that you're taking care of your hygiene. You got a butt crack and you got a frontal. You got a vagina as well. Make sure both of those are clean and not smelling.
Oh my
Very
God,
important.
yeah.
The chemistry.
smells?
The smell.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Hey,
Look,
listen, we don't
hey.
gotta stay too long on that. The ladies, just
Hey.
keep your smell tight.
We still do tests, just to let you know. If you think we test, we got to make sure it's fresh.
Yeah,
Funny,
you also you want to have it groomed up down there too. You don't want to get the hair, too many hairs and stuff caught in your mouth when you know pleasing your lady. I would say also the chemistry is important, but this is the thing. A lot of times the chemistry is not that good and open because you're not really sure or comfortable with having sex with that person. Ladies, don't ever feel compelled to lay down with a man you're not completely sure about because men can feel that. Also, I think a woman who is doesn't want to communicate when she's not as wet and she kind of wants to force the issue is like, yo, I know you feel that friction the same way I feel that friction, right? So you do have to be open to lube and other things to make sure you still keep that nice moisture going. And ladies, I know that
This brother gives good advice, bro.
Yeah,
right. Calm advice, bro. Y'all crushing it.
Ladies, also, this is the thing. There's a variety of positions. Okay, there's a variety of positions. Don't let a man jam it down your cervix if that's not what you into. So when you pushing off and you can't handle it, don't just let the man keep doing it. Communicate with the man the rhythms and the flow that you like so you can have that good, comfortable sex. And you don't got to know every position in the book. That's just very important. But the basic positions, the doggy style, the cowgirl, the missionary, just make sure you got some hip movements and you got the positioning right so your man can get very comfortable. And the kissing and the moaning, two very intimate things that also go back to being comfortable. Ladies, express yourself when you're having sex. Men get very turned on, very vigorously if you are moaning and adding in those layers of kissing on the body as well as the lips. So the thing is, if you just get in there and all you doing is laying down, letting the man go to pound town, doing all the work, beads of sweat dropping all over your nipples and your face, right? That the man is not going to remember that as a very good experience. It's going to be more to one of those more exhaustive things where he was like, all she did was lay down. So just make sure that if you take all of those things into consideration, your sex game can at least be at above average levels to then build upon. And men, we don't expect the first time to be the best time. So it is okay if the first time lasts a short amount of time. And sometimes you will, probably many times for the ladies, you're not always going to get to that finish line. So just be patient with your man. Make sure you laying down with men you're completely comfortable with, and just be abreast of the basic things that you can do to sexually perform. And I think y'all be all right.
That's a mic drop moment.
That is. What was the last two again? It was moaning and what else?
Moaning and light kissing on the lips and
the
body.
I wanted to actually add something to that because, ladies, I'm gonna be honest with you. If a man, you want to know where you stand in a man's life. If he literally tries to go through a whole sex session with you and he does not even attempt to kiss you, ladies, you know you do not stand with any level of importance in his brother's life. And I'm gonna be honest with you here. That's another thing that you need to look at. If he does not initiate or engage in kissing you, if you see he is having consistent, brutal versions of sex with you over and over again, like there's just no sensuality in your sexual sessions with this brother, like no sensuality, that is a major red flag. Either this brother is, a porn addicted addict where he just has a warped version of sex, which can be the case, or you just not that important to this brother. Like you're a sexual ragdoll to him. And that's one way to know kind of where you stand in his brother's life. So that's just very important to me because I've noticed if you guys probably even reflect on your sexual experiences, the women you probably kiss the most are probably the women you're probably emotionally connected with.
And most comfortable
the
with
most. Too. So there's a true correlation with your emotional connection and how important that kissing is. It's crazy how kissing is almost in some ways even more sacred than sex in some ways, especially as it relates to men during the act. So that's just some quick game for the ladies right there. And that's a hell of a way to close out. We went straight after dark.
That was good.
In the Hardly Initiated podcast.
I think we got another super chat came in. We shout out to Ariel Denage. She says, I'm curious, what does a man visually really no. I'm curious, what does men
Gotta get the Hooked on Finance going on here tonight? What we got?
Help me out with this time.
I can't see. What does it say?
Oh, okay. I think she's saying, what's important to a man? Face or body?
I'm curious, what does men are visual really mean? Okay. What does it mean that men are visual? I met a man who said a woman's face is not as important as her body. Okay, pretty much what does it mean that men are visual? It means, you know what? I'm tired of answering questions.
Shout out to the profile pic. I love it.
This man here, Jay Hines, is probably one of the most intentional brothers when it comes to just the visual aspect of life. All right. This is one of the flyest brothers that I know. He's helped a lot of the brothers that I even know become fly. And I know that you take looking good very seriously. So when it comes to men evaluating women, Jay, just give this young lady some game here before we go ahead and close this one up out here. What does it mean when we say that men are visual? What does that mean to you?
I think what it means to me is, physical attractiveness, I think for men is an emotional need. And I think a lot of times it's not seen as such, right? So if a man's saying he's visual, then I think the first thing you need to really get a grasp on is what part of the visual is he most in tune with, right? Because for different men, it's going to mean different things, right? It could mean, okay, hey, he wants your hair a certain way. He wants you to look a certain way. He wants you to dress a certain way. Even when it comes to, the bedroom, he may want certain undergarments, right? You really it really is going to vary on that man, but I do think that you should take it very seriously because, for some men, that literally is an emotional need, right? And if, visually he's not attracted to you, that can actually make him feel bad. Like he can actually feel depressed, right? If that isn't happening. So like if you guys are going out or, or even if it's around the house, like these are things I think that are very important, to pay attention to and to take very seriously, right? Because what you don't want to do is shame the man and get into this culture of, well, you should just, love me the way I am, or you should just like the way I am or like the way I dress, right? Because really what that's doing is deflecting from his emotional need. And that's a thing where I think sometimes that's not taken as seriously. And for men, that is an emotional need, right? And just the way that you would feel invalidated if he, were to say, well, man, you shouldn't care if I work. You shouldn't care if I pay the bills. You should just take me as I am, right?
Yeah.
I don't feel like going to work today. The same way, if financial security was an emotional need for you, right? The same way that would kind of feel like, oh, this doesn't feel good. You need to take the physical attractiveness and the visual just as serious.
Yeah,
that was well put, Jay.
Ladies, you can't change your jaw structure. You can't change the shape of your head. You know what I mean? So it's just certain things you're going to be able to change. But body, all of us, that's the thing, all of us can work to improve our bodies. And I'm going to tell you, if you got your body right, that's going to get you more interest than you could probably need or be able to have time to evaluate.
Body half the battle.
Yes, body is a little bit more than half.
I think more than half.
80%.
Yeah, I would say 80%.
Yes.
I would say 80%.
So we've all seen women with an ugly face with a banging body.
Marvin had to go there.
Wait, yeah. I don't want to call them. They maybe just didn't look as pleasant.
Not to your preference. Not to your preference.
Not to your preference.
Put a bag over that face.
But I'm gonna be honest. The body, ladies, is very important. Shout out to Wonderfully Made. What's the stance on being single until married? In my late 30s, no kids, but want some kids. Celibate, dating for marriage, and don't have time to waste dating on one man at a time. I would say just very quickly, Wonderfully Made, single until married, I do understand that, which is cool. But once a man expresses serious long-term interest and he makes you his girlfriend and he is doing the things to show you that he is serious for evaluating you for moving forward, it's just time to put the other men away. Yeah. But if you dating men all the way up to that point, then absolutely single until married. But as soon as me, and I think any other self-respecting man says that, hey, I'm interested in you long term and I want you to potentially be my wife and now you are my girlfriend to continue in this vetting process, it's time to let the other dudes go.
Yep.
Now, another one, was because we're closing it out, guys, so I'm moving through these
very
quickly.
One here.
Shout out to Wifey, one of our moderators and one of our most loyal Harley Initiated channel member. She
Love
said,
you, wifey.
what is a good place to find a man who values sex but is willing to wait?
Who values sex but is willing to wait? Here's the thing. I can't tell you.
That's
you can't say church because it's probably worse there. You know what I'm saying? So
there's not a good place, but there's things that you want to look for in the man, right? Like if a man is gonna value sex and be willing to wait, you're gonna see that simply in his actions. He's not gonna be the man that's pressing up on you and putting pressure up on you on the first night, or even, making you feel bad or wrong for not having sex. If you even express that that's something that's not important to you right now, he's going to be respectful of that, and he's not going to put the press on you. But I can't tell you go to the Kroger on Panola Road and you're going to find brothers in there that's not going to be wanting to have sex with you. So there's no real location, but there is a set of action steps and some traits that you want to look for in that brother so you can be able to test his value system. And that's the best that I could tell you right there. But Ryan, we got one more in there?
No. That's it.
Yeah, let me tell y'all. It's been fun tonight, man.
Yeah, it was fun.
We actually went for 3 hours. Look, these brothers are exhausted right now. Put the camera on these brothers. Look at Jay Hines. Jay Hines is exhausted right now. I kept telling Ryan, I'm like, hey, we gotta get these brothers to the crib real quick. Because we left it all on the court for y'all tonight, all right?
We sure did.
We left it all on the court for y'all. We leave the table here. We leave the show stammering home and falling into our bed because we give y'all everything we can every Monday and Wednesday night at 8 p.m. And I appreciate and I love the fact that we see it growing, that you guys are engaged. You guys are sending super chats to support us so we can keep bringing these quality conversations to you at a consistent basis. So the only thing that we ask, guys, because we still got, how many people we got in here? We still got over 1,000 people in here right now.
Y'all went crazy today in the
I
chat.
ask that everybody in here right now just like and subscribe this platform right now, because just that alone, that contribution alone is going to help us continue take the conversations to the next level and make sure we can continue to bring you this at a very, very high level. And Ryan,
because some of y'all been holding out on us, and
Yes.
listen, I do the same thing. I'm like, look, I get lazy. YouTube is gonna put y'all right in front of me, so I don't need to subscribe. But trust me, guys, that really helps us improve the channel. So please take the time, give us that sub. We promise that we're gonna keep on giving you quality, educational, informative, motivational, everything. We're gonna give you everything you need, but just please show the bit of appreciation by subscribing to the channel right now. And I just dropped the link all over the chat.
and ladies, listen here. So what I also want to tell y'all know we got the call-in segment that's going crazy. We're introducing a dating segment, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, so we will be bringing two of our people, a man and a woman here up, and we're going to have y'all date live on the show, okay? So what I want y'all to do, if y'all go to the Harley Initiated community section, we post in there, by the way, on our community section, on the timeline, we put a link in there for you to fill out a form if you would like to be someone to date on our show. We can ask you questions. We could probably find some love right here on Harley Initiated. This is something I want to bring here as soon as next week. Okay, so we should be doing our first dating segment next week. But go ahead and I need y'all to fill that form out ASAP. And listen.
Shout out to Nicole, by the way. Just sent over that final super chat. Nicole, we love you too. I got about a list of 20 people that I'm very excited to meet when we have our first event, because I know y'all going to be there and y'all have been supporting us from day one. Nicole, you one of those people. We love you too.
Yes, and we're going to let y'all have a good time in the chat while we get up out of here. But we are going to be back up in here this upcoming Wednesday with the King Coach himself. We're going to be up in here with Kendall Ficklin. I don't know if y'all seen his episode already go crazy, well over 100,000 views. We got Coach K, Kendall Ficklin, in here on Wednesday night. So it is going to be something you don't want to miss. But guess what? Y'all already know. Hardly Initiated. We are out.
Let's go.